this is different. This is magnificent, man. And I like this. I enjoyed myself to the fullest, and I can't wait to come back on. I can't wait to see it, see more of the people on here.
And it's also wonderful to hear people talk sanely to each other.
I mean, yes, pain is inevitable. I mean, there's a reason we have these sensors in our body. I mean, they're warning signs. In other words, something hurts. Obviously, something is amiss.
That's the start, especially on film. When the film, the cameras weigh in on your soul. If you commit to not putting crap out there, you can actually make a difference, certainly for yourself, and maybe something about the soul.
And we're just beginning to unlock and comprehend the true nature of the universe, in my humble opinion. And we still have no definitive proof that life exists outside of our solar system.
And I would ask him to come with me back to early 2023 to save my son's life.
My father passed away. She's an only child. Her mother had passed away. She didn't have any family. And she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That's the part that changed.
That cruel moment of when you realize there is no hope. That tears at me, but it doesn't tear at me anymore because there was hope. I hung on just long enough to come out the other side. And here I am. Look at me, all beautiful and stuff.
But now you're going to bring your garbage and war out into space. Well, we're not going to let that happen.
The high tide's going to come. You're not going to be able to overcome at least what technology has created.
And they were rebuilding that country at a cost.
Their truth is the truth that we imbue in them, to be kind, to be civil.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm not all the names that the kids were calling me on the playground. I was dyslexic. It was a recognition.
Sure. Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief. The grief will build up. Two people, two different stories.
It was a life-changing moment because I was no longer allowing myself to be a victim.
Another trio of questions, now more underrated. We have Billy D. Williams, Italian man named Skippy, or unicycle.
I'm sorry, Italian man named Skippy. Put me away, Abby. That's
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber, Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person.
It's clearly an issue with the hard drive. I'm going to go Don Corleone.
The bed actually looks like a bed. ED. If you think about it, lasagna is just spaghetti-flavored cake. I don't know. Have we ever thought about this? That the object of golf is to play the least amount of golf. Think about it. That's golf in a nutshell.
Yep. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the object.
Where I went around, I visited all the adults first in the the Stony Brook University Cancer Center. And then I visited the children. And I would say the adults were at least as enthused and joyful to see Santa.
And Mr. Ventura, I said, I don't know if you remember me. He says, of course, Jacques Rougeau, I remember you, the Rougeau brothers, And when he said that to me, it was like, holy.
Listen, I got a chance to get to know Joe Weider. Joe was like a second father to me. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to art. He introduced me to history.
I had a blast. I want to dance with somebody.
There we go.
I'll do it.
I do too right now, guys and gals. And
when you say videotape, I'm gonna say it once again to all Jake's people, all them Braves fans. Hey, y'all, appreciate y'all. I love you and keep rooting for them Braves.
But I was going, Tom, Don, I'm a true fan. Yo, I never watched all of your movies through, Tom, because they scared the crap out of me. Love y'all, man.
Pleasure. Great to meet you. It's great to meet you too, Trent.
Yeah, Avi, you did a great job.
Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
Last name McMahon. First name Jim. Welcome, my friend, to the second round reveal show.
Avi, always great to hear your voice, kid, and to hear your intros. You're amazing.
I welcome a power player and businessman. Last name Rosenthal. First name Steve.
Avi, you are unbelievable.
No, please.
That was one of the best introductions I've ever had in my entire life. It was better than my bar mitzvah.
Welcome this man. Last name Davidson. First name Tommy.
Nice. I think that's the best intro I've ever had.
Oh, I appreciate that, my friend.
Grab your mommy. Here's Tommy.
Did you have a nice time tonight in the green room?
I had a great time. I can't tell you how refreshing it is that somebody knows what they're doing.
Avi is a poet, but he doesn't know it, but his feet show it.
You're unbelievable.
$15,000, trip for 2 to Greece, winning it all, competitive juices. Are they all there, Joe?
Man, the competitive juices don't stop.
Robert, would you like to win this entire tournament?
You know, all those luminaries and athletes and strongmen notwithstanding, the most dangerous place on this show is between me and that prize. That's all I'm going to say.
You get a chance.
I am here to destroy people, to win, put up the rhymes that make things say that be so fine, and then hit you in the butt, because I'm ready to win this all. It's all about me going to Greece with my wife and my family and having a great time. Let's win this. Let's win this.
Oh, you're here to win the whole darn tournament?
I don't play. I just win.
Well, hello there, TKN Nation. Here we are on another beautiful night, ready for round 2, night 4. Oh my goodness, we've had an elimination or two, but tonight will be the first celebrity elimination. And oh my goodness, do we have some competitors. We have NBA General Manager and historian Pete Babcock versus Jason London, who is a film and TV great, versus DC Glenn, AMA-nominated hip-hop legend. These people know how to tell stories. These people have determined and passionate perspectives. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna walk home? Only 2 make it through to round 3. So who's it gonna be? I gotta say, tonight is a really hard one to predict. I don't think I actually can. I'm not gonna make any predictions. No, I'm not. But I will say, a little birdie happened to tell me that the #1 topic that's coming up is going to be quite a complex doozy. Let's go. I can't wait.
So tonight we have the 4th matchup of round 2 of the celebrity tournament here at TKN. We've got DC Glenn versus Jason London versus Pete Babcock. Now, Pete was a little late to the fray. Does he need that extra study time? Probably not, because he is one sharp cookie. But so's Jason, so's DC. My big wonder is for tonight, will DC Glenn bring some of that pepper that I saw in his round 1 matchup? And if he does, is Jason London or Pete Babcock going to get burnt by it? That's what I'm anticipating. We're not about controversy, we're about conversation, but I was there the last time and there was a little bit of fire. So this one is definitely one to watch. And here's the thing, you got to kind of stay till the end on this one because a celebrity is going home tonight. First time. Watch it.
It's night number 4 of round number 2 of the Celebrity Tournament. This field began with 131 Hall of Famers from the world of sports and pro wrestling, plus Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, Tony, Golden Globes, AMA, WGA award winners and nominees, and Olympians. By the time this night is over, the field will be down to 129, as 2 of the 3 competitors this evening advance and 1 is eliminated. Will it be AMA-nominated legendary hip-hop artist DC Glenn? Will it be film and TV great Jason London? Or will it be former NBA general manager and historian Pete Babcock? I predict Mr. London and Mr. Babcock will move on. Mr. London brings the heart. Mr. Babcock is a wealth of knowledge, but don't discount DC Glenn. He knows how to tell a good story.
When I look at tonight's match, DC Glenn, ferocious competitor. Jason London pulls at your heartstrings. And then you got Pete Babcock, who is a master of the argument. Love him. It's going to be a fantastic match. I hope that tonight proves amazing for 2 of you. I know somebody's got to go, but they'll take care. You're going to do great.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder. It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Let me tell you about a voice. The one that whispers. It tells me what's right and what's not, when to leave and where to go. It's not Shakespeare. It does not speak in memorable lines. My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are, when to say yes, when to say no. Whether the person sitting next to me is the one I'll be spending the rest of my life with.
You already know that dedication, hard work, and perseverance gives positive results.
Let your instincts guide you.
Your 15 minutes are up. You better start thinking of something else. What else to do? What do I want to do? I was picked a day that I was going to go to the Taxi and Limousine Commission to try and get my license. And the day before I decided to go, I got a call from my agent. Paul Newman is casting, wants to see you. Getting a job is like having money in your pocket. If you got it, you can get it. Strangely enough, so this was in September. By October, I had a TV job, an off-Broadway show. I was directing a play, and I was going to be in January going to do this movie. It was called Harry and Son. Go figure. What would you do if you weren't an actor? If you didn't make it as an actor, what would you do? I have no idea. I would act somewhere, because I'll die if I don't.
Hall of Fame and one of the NBA's top 50 players. And I'm really excited to tell you about my new relationship in the broadcasting world with the new network.
It's TKN, and a young man named Avi Klein has poured his blood, sweat, and tears into creating this new network and assembling an amazing group of individuals to co-host shows with him throughout the network, covering everything you can imagine. He's assembled artists, authors, film entertainers.
Legends from every walk of life who are just bringing their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom, and this is amazing. Like in a day and age when our airwaves are just completely oversaturated with false narratives, with social media futility, with craziness, Avi just is I feel like this is a cosmic convergence of what is most important to him, and he's such a stand-up guy.
Here, but with a very warm heart for Avi and thanking him for all the work he's put into creating the new network. For me, I have just a teeny part of this in terms of having a program that's based on storytelling, where I get to share some of my stories with you.
I can't even imagine how hard Avi Klein works. He tells me he gets 4 hours of sleep a day, and I actually believe that, because Avi is so passionate, he works so hard, and
tune into Avi's network, because there's a lot of jewels that we're going to uncover.
I'm going to be tagging up again with my great friend and tag team partner Avi Klein for Breaking the Ice, which will be just one show out of many that are part of the new network.
He's very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences, and I felt like this guy's on to something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
Avi, congratulations. I don't know anybody that can talk as much as you.
Seriously, I thought I could talk. You are unreal. But you do it with class, understanding, professionalism. You're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you. And you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
The thing is, you put out a stage out here. You give us a floor to go on of competition. And everybody can relate to having competition.
I just think it's going to be, a lot of fun for people. I don't think people like this on the air. I don't think really. No, there isn't. I just think it's going to be I'm very interested in how people respond to it. Because I know it's going to be interesting and see if people tune in and stay tuned in. And I really hope they do. And I'm all yours, bro. Let's go out and make this work. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Guys and gals and pals, it is Saturday night. I feel all right. I know you guys too, because it is round number 2. Industrial-sized air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska would be rendered obsolete after that intro because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You've all experienced luminary after luminary enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is stacked. I dubbed this vision of mine edutainment because I place emphasis on entertainment and education. Because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all, a place where competitors convey their level of admiration. We marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration when observing this wide array of talent that make up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us, which is why I subscribe to conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. We're all so much closer than we are apart. Don't listen to the talking heads, which is why this show offers a demonstration of what's right about us as a society. So for the new viewers out there who have a fascination, sit back and enjoy as I put a cap on this verbal dissertation. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's realize that our motto isn't some Sherlock Holmes mystery. A legendary director of Superman fame, my mentor, told me years ago, write your own history. That mentor lives in my heart daily. His name was Richard Donner. So let's sit back and realize what we've witnessed here in this tournament, oh so grand, where as of tonight, 131 Hall of Famers and Hall of Hollywood Award winners and nominees own this land as we discover and rediscover our humanity through open dialogue and expand. So be prepared to give a hand to competitors that are about to work their sweat gland, all the while our attention they command. With 15 grand and a 5-day trip to Greece on the line, one can't forget about the pride and the prize. So with that, let's all rise and reprise our roles as educational voyeurs that never chastise or agonize, but rather revel in our beautiful reality without needing a disguise. Here on this network, we're all allergic to lies. The bard, Mr. Shakespeare, once said, "It's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves." So if you love something, then don't hate others that do, because doing is the sweet nectar that is most rewarding. Take a moment to breathe, admire your desire to aspire, because if you don't, life will be but a blur. Of this I'm sure, so never hate the flower for starting out as a seed. Long distance running is essential. This isn't a stampede, so don't run anyone over on your way to the top. Focus on yourself and never forget to cheerlead. Root for your loved ones and lift people up. This human fortune cookie hopes that we've all agreed that positivity is something that we can never concede. So guys, with that, I'm bringing in a friend right now, a celebrity judge, the first celebrity judge of round number 2. I'm excited right now. That's why I'm wearing red, because the blood is pumping through my veins, bringing this guy in. I got to tell you, celebrity judge is one thing, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for a moment, guys and gals. I have so much love for this man. I got so much respect for this man. This man is a scholar. This man is one of the greatest athletes of all time. This guy's one of the greatest minds of all time. I don't lie. You guys know how I don't mince words. If I have nothing nice to say, I'll zip the old lip. This man, guys and gals, is going to be our celebrity judge tonight. What time is it? It's time to dream lofty dreams, my friends. Frederick Douglass said, "The soul that is within me, no man can degrade." The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. The true secret of happiness lies in taking a genuine interest in all the details of daily life. These sentiments all apply to tonight's special judge, because to know him is to see his heart. In a world filled with questions, it's quite comforting to know that there are simple answers when it comes to certain people. For instance, this man's honesty. his integrity, his word, his passion and compassion. There are no questions when it comes to all of the above, because he's a quality human being. Dear Diary, I speak of the word greatness and revel in its glory. Are we exposed to such greatness through hearsay, fable, or an amazing story? Nope. I've seen greatness in the form of a man that has already broken every record there is to break. If your goal was to beat him, you might wind up sobbing on Ricky Lake. Guys and gals, there are no questions when it comes to all the above, because he's quite a quality human being. His courage is consistent. You can rely on his courage like a Michael Jordan free throw. His soul is canvas, which is more beautiful than any Van Gogh. He's in the second round, guys and gals, soon to be announced of this star-studded tournament, where he'll be sure to bring the gusto. All of you watching always bring his name up, and rightly so. He's a friend that I appreciate fully, as his class is something we always see him bestow. He's sincere and genuine. He can make you laugh like a mid-90s Murray Romano. They know his name around the world, from Glasgow to Monaco to Kosovo to Moscow. Even in the wintertime, his smile can melt the snow. So why don't you all grab a gyro and a glass of Merlot? That might not be a good combo. But regardless, I can tell you you're all feeling quite gun-ho, as his impact is quite the presence, like Arnold kicking butt in Commando. Who am I bringing in? The mystery will be history. In a second, you'll know. You all have figured it out maybe by now, but this isn't a whodunit like Hitchcock's Vertigo, so get up and enjoy this ride like a Texan in a rodeo. Have you put the pieces together and figured it out like a common game of dominoes? Give in to the day, not the grays. I welcome a man that commands attention like a Green Beret, as he can whisk your worries away. Say hello to WWE Hall of Famer and my big brother. First name Stevie, last name Ray. Welcome, my friend.
Avi, how is it going, brother? I've never heard an interest for myself that long and that great. And I really appreciate it, brother. What is going on, man?
Man, I appreciate you. This is your official TKN debut.
This is my official.
My God, you know, I want to say this again. This tournament was built for Stevie Ray. You guys know I don't say that about just about anybody. This tournament was built for Stevie Ray. I know you're judging tonight, but question for you. You're chomping at the bit to get in this thing.
Oh, yeah, man. I've been telling you, brother. You brought up some names to me, and I was like, I can't wait. I hope they don't see me, because it's going to be on like a steaming pot of neck bones, baby, and I'm not playing.
My God, I know you're not. Let's give some context. Stevie, you and I go back about, 6-7 years.
We go back. We go back, man. People don't know that. We go back, man.
You don't know, my friend. Jacques Rougeau saying, hey, Stevie Ray from Montreal.
Jacques Rougeau. What's up, Jacques? You supposed to be coming my way. I never saw you.
There you go, guys. Jacques Rougeau in the second round. Stevie, I got to say this. You know, you're in the 11th hour of this thing. Okay. We got some mystery competitors lined up your way. It doesn't matter who it is. At the end of the day, what I like about this place is we prioritize the words competitive camaraderie. We marry them together. Same with edutainment. Entertainment meets education. We are philosophically fun, but there's nothing wrong with getting into the spirit of competition, because at the end of the day, the respect is there no matter who you face, but you do want to be the one that goes to Greece.
Yes, and I've never been to Greece. I've been many places. I've been close, but I never crossed over the line. So I think it'll be nice.
Wow.
Yes.
Because you've been all over the world. Nice. You've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Chasing the goal, man.
I love
Chasing the goal. Do you know I sit down in the middle of Lebanon?
Oh, that's right. You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And had a conversation all night long. They lucky I was not you, the journalist that you are. I would have had pen and paper, and I would have been jotting things down. Yet I tried to retain it in my mind, and most of it slipped away. But hey,
you mean like that mysterious CNN job? We'll get into that one other day. You know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, hey, come on down, CNN guy. Get into that, guys. Stevie and I, we're gonna chop it up, and we always did. Again, I want to let you guys know he didn't ask for this, so I'm saying it now impromptu. The man has an incredible podcast, a few of them actually. Going to be joining this network soon. We got a lot of ideas we're cooking, but Straight Shooting with Stevie Ray. We're going to post the link over here so people could join it. Man, great shows across the board. And the way this man is always able to thrive is he's able to do it live. That's how he takes a deep dive every time, guys and gals and pals. That's Mr. Stevie Ray. My friend, before I put you in the back, are you looking forward to this matchup? We got AMA-nominated hip-hop legend DC Glenn, former NBA GM Pete Babcock, film and TV great Jason London. Your thoughts, my friend?
Yes. Mine? Oh, brother, I can't wait till they get down. I want to see what they all have, because, see, you got to realize something. I'm observing. Not only am I judging, I'm observing. Mr. Babcock, I'm observing. You know?
Guys, when I tell you, It doesn't matter what topic it is. Mr. Stevie Ray is going to chop it up and go down the rabbit hole. You know, he calls me I call him the professor. I've learned a lot from Stevie. And again, guys, this isn't pomp and circumstances, from the heart. A dear friend who I'm glad is not only part of this tournament, part of other things that we're going to be doing as well. I want to say this live, 2 million views on YouTube. Again, I respect you. You're one of the smartest, classiest people I know, and I'm proud to call you big brother.
Appreciate that. And people don't know, I call this man the professor. And the reason I call him the professor, that he has taught me many, 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 many things. And I've told him that many times. I'm the only person that calls him that, but nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. He comes on my podcast and goes, ladies and gentlemen, the professor is here. And they go, professor what?
It's a good question, actually, yeah.
But I let him know. Professor of many things.
No, man.
So he's a professor to me. And you guys see on this show right here, what he's doing now, how much he puts into it. People don't realize the work, the hard work behind the scenes that this man put in to make this show happen, to give you the verbiage, to give you the lead-ins. Brother, people just don't know. It's hard work. And when we talk about hard work, Avi Klein pops up. Hard work.
Man, means so much to me. And again, guys, I will pay it right back at you and give you your roses. You're one of the hardest working people I know. Broke bread in Vegas doing Stevie's show as well. Guys, Stevie Ray is going to be part of this network. We're also going to make sure that we watch the innovative nature of his shows because, trust me, once you watch 1 minute of anything Stevie Ray does, you are hooked for life. I'm going to put you backstage, my friend.
Go ahead, bro.
Guys, that's the great Stevie Ray, Hall of Fame human and Hall of Fame athlete. No doubt about that. Hall of Fame mind. Right now, guys and gals, we're going to bring in our first competitors because right now we are here for round number 2. Remember, 2 out of 3 advance. 2 out of 3 advance in round number 2. Guys, again, you'll be voting, and so will our judges in the back. Stevie is one of our judges. We got a couple of others as well. Their votes are worth 5 points each. Your votes are worth 1 as well, but we turn it over to you. You guys are the engine that makes this thing go. Guys, we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can adjust the sails to always reach our destination. Respect for ourselves guides our morals. Respect for others guides our manners. And speaking of respect, I have a great deal of respect for the following human being, who I also consider a mentor and a big brother. Guys and gals and pals, please take a look at the following and please give respect to another professor, Mr. Pete Babcock.
Some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number 1 in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. Once you discover what it will be, set out to do it, and to do it well.
So the Establishment Clause, they said, would apply to all states, not just the state that was filing suit, and so that reinforced the separation of church and state. So when a team is able to win a championship, it's such a remarkable achievement because you've blended all those diverse personalities and egos together. But then his good friend Apollo Creed is savagely beaten to death in the ring by Drago, and Rocky feels this sense of revenge.
Well, guys, to know this man is to appreciate him, and that's from the heart. Our first competitor, guys and gals, is not only a second rounder in this, the most star-studded tournament of them all, but he's a dear friend and a man that places heavy emphasis on all things humane. There's so much to be said about this individual, as his kind expressions can reduce any man's stress. As a former NBA owner and GM, this man guided many franchises to victories and success. The man was the GM for the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Hawks of Atlanta. He left each franchise better, as his presence was like a gift from a dear old Santa. He became the GM of the Atlanta Hawks for 13 years, starting in 1990. From Dominique to Spud Webb to Leitner, and of course, the finger-waving that can be. Rest his soul. The paper that he helped write for the White House should be consumed by the masses. If it were up to the building character through sports, it would be taught in all classes. He served on the committee to select a team and coaching staff for Dream Team 3. Yeah, they won the gold. His passion and knowledge of history and civil rights speak to me as I marvel at his mind. Maybe he'll convince me to give the New York Knicks another shot, although I wouldn't watch that team if I was blind. Forget Halloween. This man's presence is an absolute treat. He finds the best in people and is truly allergic to defeat. As my co-host on Intertwining Thoughts, his viewpoints are well worth a front row seat. He is multifaceted, diverse, and impactful like the mid-2000s Miami Heat. His heart is a champion, like an Olympic medal-winning athlete. Is he a favorite to win this tournament? He never takes a back seat. Put that in a tweet. So let's welcome a good friend and human being. Last name Babcock, first name Pete. Welcome to round 2 of the Celebrity Tournament, my friend.
Speechless, Avi. I don't know how you do this over and over and over again. You're amazing. What a talent.
Well, it makes it easy when I'm surrounded by greatness. Stevie Ray, Pete Babcock, DC Glenn, Jason London. When I'm surrounded by people who've traveled the world, who've done so many things in their lives. You know, Pete, again, when I screen wrote for a living, when I was young, I didn't have much life experience, but then listening to other people that did, people like yourself who take the time to educate others if they'll just listen, that's how we grow. You epitomize all that, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be involved. It's humbling to be involved. And it's just, I learn so much every time I'm on, not only with you, but the other people who are on, and all the interesting life experiences they have and their backgrounds. It's just a great learning experience. I enjoy it every time.
Well, my friend, so do I. And our show is going to return, Intertwining Thoughts as well. Pete Babcock, I've got to ask you the same question. You're now in round number 2. You were one of the first to advance to round number 2. Round 3 is on the horizon. It'd be, of course, it's a learning experience. Strangers become friends. But at the end of the day, 15,000 trip for 2 degrees. Are you here to win the entire tournament, my friend?
Well, that's the plan, Avi. I mean, it's like, that's what we're all doing this for. So,
sure.
I'm looking forward to interacting with Jason and DC tonight, and hopefully one of them goes home instead of me. But at the same time, it's such a great experience. I'm just looking forward for the evening.
I am as well, my friend.
One step at a time.
People are going to be educated, guys and gals and pals who are watching, because Mr. Pete Babcock is in the house. I'm going to put you backstage momentarily and bring you right back.
Okay.
The great Pete Babcock, guys and gals. Again, a dear friend who I respect greatly on and off camera. Guys and gals and pals are our next participant. When I think of him, I think of why we're put on earth, which is to enjoy ourselves. Enjoying ourselves. He did just that. Life is a song, sing it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is sacrifice, offer it. And life is love, enjoy it. We must believe that we are the best, so that we can provide the very best unto others as well. When fatigue sets in, we truly find out, guys and gals and pals, what we are made of. Please, if you can, take a look at this.
One of the things I remember is that if you want your audience to be impressed and laugh and be impressed or cry, it's like you're here and the audience is here and you're going toward the edge of a cliff, and you stop and the audience will go over. You don't have to cry to make the audience cry. I never forgot that. You have a love affair with your audience and your camera, so that you can kind of almost, it's not manipulate's a bad word, but you kind of bring the audience with you. You know how to do that. So he taught me all this stuff. He taught me about the fourth wall in front of a camera, even though it wasn't theater. He taught me dynamics. He taught me about the internal engine. He talked about what you could do with the eyes and how very little you have to do in front of a camera as long as the furnace is going. So he did that. He broke me up. After Sunday was a good thing, but Frank Silvera in specifics.
There is no quid pro quo. You don't plant a seed, sit down Indian style, say, okay, seed, grow. Come on, seed, grow. Man, this seed don't work, I quit. How many people we know like that? Took a real estate course, thought they was gonna be rich and not rich. What if what you're saying is right? What would I do about it? Not how would I feel, what would I do about it? I mean, if you saved the Archduke of Ferdinand from getting assassinated, World War I pretty much is still gonna happen, right? Like all these things in history are what make history history.
Guys, I'm getting fired up because, again, this is an intellectual mind, a man who can teach us a thing or two about more than just a thing or two. Our next participant is a jack of all trades and a master of many. He's a poet, and you know it, a storyteller as well. He's well-rounded as a mid-90s point guard penny. He grew up in Colorado, in the city of Denver, and had a great childhood filled with love. His parents instilled a work ethic in him. Labor was something he was never above. He valued $1, and even as a young child, he was there to help Mr. Granite during a big old blizzard. Soon he'd captivate us with his rhymes and hold our attention like Merlin the Wizard. He attended Blessed Sacrament and then Manual High School. In a bit over a decade, everyone rejoiced to his music from Liverpool to Istanbul. Dr. Joyce Davis directed choir, and that definitely interested him a great deal. He worked at the truancy office, giving out passes, which turned out to be rather ideal. It is there that he met someone he'd collaborate with, but the rest isn't quite history. There were many twists and turns before his success story was told, a la the ending of any Sherlock Holmes mystery. He attended Sac State University, and when he moved to Atlanta, he DJ'd at a club called Michael's and another called Magic City. The latter was a cool club where you could admire women who were quite pretty. He was supposed to work in CNN, but he flourished from song making to working in business. Soon the progress and the luminaries he'd impress would express that they loved chanting yes, as his music would allow us to release rather than suppress. This I profess, but I digress. We'll get into Otis Preston, Stevie, and Johnny Z soon, but we can't forget his classic that hit the world like Godzilla when he introduced everyone to that Magic Typhoon, a Soul Train Music Award nominee, a Billboard Music Award nominee, an NAACP Image Award nominee, and an AMA American Music Award for New Artist of the Year are just some of the accolades that this man has under his belt in the world of showbiz. His hit, written in '92 that captivated the masses all across the globe, whoop, there it is. The Addams Family, whoop, the iconic Geico commercial, and his amazing chops as a storyteller. There's no surprise why this artist is always a #1 bestseller. The money, whether that's in dollars or yen, guys and gals, right now all you have to do is count till 10 as I bring in a humble, kind, intelligent human being known as D.C. Glenn. Welcome to round 2, my friend.
You see me smiling. You see me smiling. What's up, everybody? I am glad to be here tonight.
I like it when you smile, my friend.
Hey, I am looking forward to this, and it is, you should have been a boxing promoter, because I'm trying to tell you, you missed your calling, my friend.
Oh, man. Thank you, my friend. Well,
I'm just glad to be here and meet new people, and you just find out different things. Like Mr. London is an actor, and I'm an actor, and the things he was saying, I can just really, they hit home, because I'm all about the craft and not about being a star as well, right? And my narrative is, I want to be one of those people, like, he didn't start acting until he was 50. And like, you're damn right, because I was doing other stuff, right? So salute to you, Mr. London. And Mr. Babcock, you have been a part of my life, my entire life, because I grew up in Denver, Colorado.
That's right.
And then moved to Atlanta, Georgia in the 90s. And Atlanta, Georgia in the 90s was a magical time, because the Braves, because of the Hawks, and Dominic, just all those things made Atlanta just an incredible city. So salute to you, Mr. Babcock.
And DC, our very own Stevie Ray, of course, he knows the Atlanta scene real well. One of the biggest stars in WCW when they were thriving, of course, home base in Atlanta, Georgia. My friend, again,
you are. Let me get to that. See, you just undercut me, man.
Did I?
You said you wasn't gonna do that. No,
I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about Stevie Ray. I can't help myself.
I know. Hey, Stevie Ray, check it out. You bring the neck bones. I got the macaroni cheese, the collard greens, the sweet potato, the candy yams, the jiffy cornbread, and peach cobbler, and we good.
Man, I got to tell you, my friend, love your sense of humor, love getting to know you. But again, I have to ask the question. This is for all those suits and ties, guys and gals, again, for the people watching in the studio who didn't believe in this right now. Told you so. But anyway, guys, DC Glenn, here's what they said. They said, you can't do something that isn't controversial. I said, yes, I can. We can have intellectual conversation that's entertaining. We can do it consistently. We can do it live and thrive. We're doing it because of people like you, my friend. Can ask you the same question as well for them. 15 grand, 5-day trip to Greece. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be.
DC
and like I said, I'm in it to win it, and I hope somebody else goes home. But the trip to Greece would be just wonderful, and I hope to achieve that goal.
Guys, DC Glenn, I'm going to put you back momentarily, my friend, when we get this thing kicked off.
Yes, sir.
The great DC Glenn, guys and gals, again, his mind is sharp. He's already thinking. He always does. And we have a lot of thought-provoking people in this tournament. Jason London, guys and gals, who I'm about to bring in next. Pete Babcock, Stevie Ray. The list goes on and on. We have 131 Hall of Famers from the world of sports, music, pro wrestling, not to mention Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe, AMA, WGA, and Olympians, all competing for the pride and the prize. This is the biggest tournament of all time. There's no doubt about that. But substance over style all the while, guys and gals. You're here inviting us to your living room every Saturday night. We appreciate that. So, guys and gals and pals, some traversed near and far to see what many cannot before them. It took me all 30 seconds to realize that this man is authentic and genuine and the real deal, and a friend who I really appreciate greatly because of what he stands for. A human being that doesn't celebrate celebrity. Down to earth. Walt Whitman said, "Let your soul stand cool and composed before a million universes." Well, those words make me think of our next participant, because our next participant, guys and gals, epitomizes that very quote. So please, if you can, take a look and enjoy the following.
It's a challenge, but of course that's my job. Showing emotion or not showing emotion, whichever the case may be, is the actor's craft. You know, I'm often surprised when a man comes in to my house and can fix a leaky faucet, you know, that I've been working on perhaps for a couple hours and only managed to make it worse, you see. That's his craft. He comes in and does it. My craft is to play interesting and unusual characters. And so I think it starts with the physical appearance. I think the fact that he is such a wise individual. I think people are fascinated with the idea that a man in the future may know something that we don't know today. I think they look to him for answers. He's a very dignified man and commands respect. He's obviously very intelligent. The control of the emotions, I think, is a very important thing. The fact that he's cool, the fact that he's sophisticated, he doesn't get riled in a situation. He has control of himself. All of these things are working.
How beautiful your garden is depends on how beautiful you treat it, and how beautiful you love it, and how beautiful you take care of it. And I think that has very much to do with us on a personal level, whether it's dealing with addictions or whether it's dealing with emotional issues or whatever it might be. There's so many different levels to the onion of the shining of what's going on. Is the entire place haunted? Is it this thing that's going to happen to literally anybody that takes care of the place over the winter? The song Dazed and Confused, if you just close your eyes, and when that kicks in, you know exactly the song that it is, and you know what's coming.
Guys and gals and pals, again, if authenticity is something you can hear, then hear the following. This man is quite authentic and genuine. And maybe that's what makes him a great storyteller, sure, and a great writer, because his literary works impress me so much because of their depth, because of his attention to detail. I've committed my life to screenwriting, and he has committed his life to a craft that I respect so much. And beyond that, he's also a damn good guy. He's a man that could do it all and do it well. Whenever he speaks, we listen because he always has a positive message and story to tell. Benjamin Franklin said either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. He's an incredible writer and storyteller, and his energy is always inviting. He happens to be one of the favorites in the second round, guys and gals, of this star-studded field. We've all witnessed his talent, intellect, and vibe, something that cannot be concealed. No, no, no. As a human being, his heart cannot contain the kindness that his soul pours out. When in his presence, you'll be sure to smile and never pout. He need not raise his voice to let his presence be felt, so don't expect a shout. I appreciate his friendship as his talent in depth goes several magnitudes of order deep. As a storyteller, his canvas has displayed art that will never sleep. As a writer, his emphasis on substance always goes underneath the skin. He's in round 2 of this tournament to no one's chagrin. Be sure to call your pals, phone in, get ready to grin as we welcome in the talented and kind and humble Jason London. Welcome, my good friend.
Avi, please keep going. Please, more. I am going to marry him someday.
My friend, man.
Thank you so much, man. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. This is great. I just noticed I'm wearing the same shirt as I did in one of those other ones. It's the other shirt that I have on underneath. It's a reveal later.
I was wondering if it's a good luck shirt because in round 1 you advanced. It might be a good luck shirt.
I think that was that funny Hawaiian thing I was wearing or something, right? Or maybe not. But I wanted to tell the other two guys, our wonderful judge in DC, that I'm a hell of a cook, and I love all of those dishes that you guys are going to have, the collard greens and all of that. And I'll make up some good Southern food too for you. So can I join the party on that one, please?
Jason, you were nice enough to actually say you put up a post of something that looked really scrumptious. And I was like, man, that looks good. You're like, man, I'll make that for you. You are.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things that has become kind of a passion of mine too, is I love to see something or go to somewhere and taste a delicious meal and just want to learn how to make it. So
God almighty. I'm like 50% of the way there. I like to taste it, but not the cooking part.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I get so much enjoyment. It's so funny. Rebecca makes fun of me for it.
Right.
Because I get so much joy making it. Half the time I forget to eat it. I'm serving it to everybody else, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't even eaten yet. Wow. So,
well, my friend, I say this in plural. I said this before the show started. DC Glenn, Pete Babcock, Jason London are Renaissance men, and as is Mr. Stevie Ray. Can't wait for you guys to get to know him. One of the smartest minds that I've ever encountered in my life. Guys, I want to bring in the aforementioned Pete Babcock and DC Glenn. Stevie Ray is also watching intently. Of course, scouting the competition, but also judging tonight, as is our two judges, Giselle and Jamie. Appreciate you guys. Giselle, thanks for tallying in the back. This is all cumulative. So again, guys, the top 2 vote getters after 2 topics moves on to round number 2. And of course, the person who doesn't is eliminated, not eliminated from TKN. No, this is a family, and I mean that. But again, 2 out of 3 will move on to round number 3. Jason, I know that the conversations are something you and I treasure so greatly, but 15 grand trip for 2 to Greece, would it be nice to win it all?
buddy, it would be so nice. It'd be so nice to get away. It's one of the places I haven't been. It's it's and I know Rebecca's just dying to go. So I would love that. And my daughter wants to go too. She goes. I told my daughter about it. She goes, so that means I'm going to Greece with you. Like, if I win the 15 grand, then yeah, we got the tickets.
I'll tell you, that's something the luminaries should consider once we get closer to round 6, which is the finals. Who do we take to Greece? That's what we should probably think about.
Right. There's going to be like a wrestling match over it. Like, we should make them do like what we're doing right now. Who wins that?
Yes. It'll be like that Rod Serling episode where they're all trying to get into that underground bunker in that shelter. 1 minute they're all friends. Now they're like, let me in. Let me in. Guys and gals. Right. You're in the house already. You let us in your living room, so we're in your house. Jason London is in your house, guys and gals. A sweet, honest human being. A smart, intelligent human being who's a mentor. Pete Babcock, a very intelligent, very thought-provoking, very diverse human being. DC Glenn. They are here, guys and gals. And right now I will introduce topic number 1. Topic number 1, guys and gals. It's a doozy. It's going to be in-depth. So again, for all of you watching, please make sure that you hang on every word, because this is definitely a topic you won't see anywhere else, and we're glad we're going to explore it. Guys and gals, again, in terms of the order, we will have DC Glenn tackle this topic first. Pete Babcock will tackle it second. Jason London will tackle it third. Rebuttals are optional. They do help, of course, if someone wants to rebut the other while the other person is speaking. The person rebutting has to just raise their index finger. I pop in and make it official, and there we go. We're off to the races. Guys, no 2 presidents put together the same cabinet. Although Kissinger's been in a lot of them. But all of them, that's a different story. All of them, regardless of shape or size, or whether they're made up of friends or enemies, even frenemies, they're central to the story of this country. When American presidents nominate cabinet officers who receive the title of secretary and they're confirmed by the Senate, they consider experience, geographic and racial diversity. They consider political principles and more. But the objective is to build a circle of close advisors with whom the president will collaborate on issues while remaining largely out of the view of congressional or public oversight. You know, the opposite of McNamara, I'm sorry. But as presidential cabinets have shown all too clearly, just as many fail as succeed. George Washington sat around the cabinet table with John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Hamilton, Henry Knox, Edmund Randolph. Lincoln won the Civil War with William Seward, Salmon Chase, and Edwin Stanton. Franklin Roosevelt beat the Depression and the Nazis with Henry Stimson, so on and so forth. But what if you, Jason, DC Glenn, and Pete Babcock had the ability to select any of the following candidates? Who would you select, and what position would they best excel in? Guys, DC Glenn, Pete Babcock, and Jason London are going to plug in any of the following people into their own cabinet if they were commanders-in-chief. The departments available: Vice President of the United States, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Attorney General, Department of Defense, Department of Education. Again, the following departments: Vice President of the United States, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Attorney General, Department of Defense, and Department of Education. Of the following, and you'll see it here displayed on screen so you guys can read along, the candidates available that they could select, if they'd like, in this draft, if you will, are Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Rachel Carson, Susan B. Anthony, Jesse Ventura, Grover Cleveland, Harriet Tubman, Albert Einstein, William Shakespeare, Nelson Mandela, Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Adams, John F. Kennedy, Thurgood Marshall, Theodore Roosevelt, Stagecoach Mary Fields, Woodrow Wilson, George Washington, Queen Victoria, Martin Van Buren, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander the Great, Gilgamesh, Winston Churchill, and Mother Teresa. Guys, you'll see it here. For the viewers who are watching, you'll see those lists of names that are available on screen momentarily. Mr. Babcock, are you ready to go, good sir?
I'm ready, but is DC going first?
Yes, I'm sorry. DC Glenn is going first. Guys. I'm overwhelmed by all these names.
I
was like,
let's go, DC.
Hold on. I'm for a history nerd like me. Seeing all those names overwhelms me, Mr. Babcock. But that's why you were the sharpest GM in the history of the NBA. That's why.
Yeah,
guys and gals, Mr. DC Glenn, the floor is yours. In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Man, I'm telling you, this one was a little difficult. And as I was trying to figure out who, what, when, where, why, in what century, and what they've done, and all the above, I kind of settled on balance, right? You want balance when you're dealing with people, and you want people who can work together. You want people who know people, and you just want problem solvers, right? So I think I'm going to kind of reverse. Well, I'm going to put this in my own order. So I'm going to start with Secretary of Education, and I choose Albert Einstein. And you might be looking like, why the hell are you choosing Albert Einstein? He's going to be too much for everybody. He's not going to be able to, people are not going to understand what the hell he's talking about. But I believe that Albert Einstein can take something from scratch and build upon it and make it practical for everybody to learn. Because you don't come up with the theory of relativity just by guessing it. You come in by studying history, putting the facts together, learning about science, and testing and testing and testing and coming to a conclusion. So with our education system today, I think he would be the best person to break it all down and build it back up practically to teach everybody on the same wavelength about history, civics, science, all the things that we, were taught when we were in high school. When we were in high school, we weren't like, man, I don't know why we got to learn this or why we got to learn that. We just learned it, right? And I'm a child of Schoolhouse Rock, so I learned about civics through Schoolhouse Rock, subliminally, right? So you do things like that to, you know, infuse real education to the society, which makes everybody better and it makes your country more productive. Now I segue into, probably want to go to Benjamin Franklin for Secretary of the Treasury. I could do the ignorant answer because he's on the $100 bill, but I'm not. People don't know that he was a man of the world. And because he traveled so much, he kind of understood how trade worked. He understood how money worked. He understood how finances worked. And he was one of the forefathers of putting together this capitalistic society with financial expertise that we still, you know, reap the benefits of today, right? So I think he would be good because he could be practical as well. And he could work well with everybody else. Then you want to take care of legal things at home. And one of my heroes and one, you know, person that I adore is Thurgood Marshall, because he had to learn the law before he could implement everything that he wanted to do. Where he had to implement the law before he could fight for civil rights and fight for injustice and fight for the things that have made this country great today. But I believe that if he were in my cabinet now, he could solve a lot of the problems that we have in the legal system that so hamper what tries to tear us apart, right? And creates fairness, but doesn't alienate people, right? And that's why I would choose him. Now, those three are pretty much the domestic part of it. So if I'm trying to pick my Secretary of Defense, I'm picking Winston Churchill. Because one, he's got the greatest quotes in history. Two, he had to deal with incredible stress. And he, you know, with his country being bombed every day and, you know, Germany trying to take over the world and trying to take over Britain. And he was like, that ain't happening. And I feel he would put that in effect in the United States. This is not happening. But at the same time, he was brilliant in playing the chess pieces against each other. He was brilliant in building allies and building consensus and dealing with people in a way that they all could work together on a global stage, right? But then he was a very good tactical military man as well. And I think he would be great for Secretary of Defense. And then you have the Secretary, what is it? Secretary of State, I'm sorry. And now we're getting into the meat of the order, right? You got to have somebody who can carry the stick. You got to have somebody who has the carrot. And then my Secretary of State would be Nelson Mandela, because Nelson Mandela was in jail for most of his life. And when he got out, he did not think vengeance. He was like, how can I bring all these fools together? Because I know with the apartheid system, these people hate these people, and these people hate these people. I have to be the example. All he could do was be the example. And he was the example that brought South Africa together, right? So I think he'd be great Secretary of State, because he would travel the world and create alliances as well. And then I picked these people because they are checks on each other, right? So I think he would work well with Winston Churchill, because if Winston Churchill wants to be too hard, Nelson Mandela could combat it from the diplomatic perspective, right? And I think that right there is the perfect balance when it comes to foreign stuff, right? So then you have your vice president. I don't want a vice president that's just the vice president. I want a vice president that's straight up with me. I want a vice president that's smart, articulate, can figure out problems. I want a vice president that can see things that I can't see, because we all are products of our experiences, right? So because our experiences, you put them all together, it's another form of balance. And I think with him, he can help me corral the rest of them. So if Albert Einstein is like, I want to teach this and blah, 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 Abraham Lincoln can go, hey, man, you're kind of doing too much. Break it down more simplistic, right? And if Winston Churchill is going too hard, well, he can go to Nelson Mandela and they can kind of team up on Winston Churchill and give him very good ideas on why he shouldn't do things. And then with him and Ben Franklin, well, you have certain things and certain needs where you got to go get money, right? So you come up with several ideas to get money. And then we just all work together, right? And we all can make this country a little bit better and avoid the pitfalls of what makes empires fall. And those are my choices. And that's in a, that's a world I would want to live in.
Thank you so much. Guys and gals, I loved your comments. I'll pull them up so DC can read them in a moment because you were very, very respectful, and that's why you're the smartest and most caring audience that we have here. We call you the engine that makes this thing go, because if you weren't here, we'd be doing this solo. So guys and gals, Mr. DC Glenn offering us a bit of his mind, heart, and soul, and we appreciate that as well. I will now kick it over to Mr. Pete Babcock, guys and gals. It is the same question. Again, my friend, if you had the opportunity to select any of the following individuals that we see right now in that scrolling ticker before us for Vice President of the United States, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Attorney General, Department of Defense, or Department of Education, who would it be and why? The floor is yours, my friend, in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Well, for Vice President, I'm going to start at the top. I want somebody who has experience in leadership, somebody who can bring some compassion to the country and bring people together. And because of that, I would go with Nelson Mandela as Vice President. Here's a person who he was born. His father was a chieftain in his clan, and when his father passed away, he was permitted to assume that chieftainship, and he renounced it because he wasn't interested in that. He wanted to go to law school because he wanted to fight apartheid, and he wanted to work on social justice, and he wanted to do it through the court systems as much as he could. And he started traveling. So he goes to law school. He starts traveling the country, campaigning for nonviolent protests. He later is arrested. While he's in jail, he also was involved with starting the African National Congress and eventually become president of that organization. But while he's in prison, there's an uprising and a terrible massacre of unarmed black individuals in South Africa by the police forces. And Mandela then changed his approach and felt like we can't just be nonviolent. We're going to have to fight violence with violence. And so he went underground for a while. He got out, take it back. He got out of prison because he was acquitted finally after a few years. And then he has to go underground in this effort to try to overthrow the racist system in South Africa. He's arrested again, charged with treason and this violent conspiracy, and sentenced to life in prison. They give him 2 opportunities to get out of jail by telling him that if you'll step forward and basically give your stamp of approval to our racist government and renounce violence, we'll let you out. He wouldn't do it. He refused to do it. Finally, years and years later, in 1990, he's finally released from prison. He makes a deal with President de Klerk, and together they work to end apartheid. They come to an agreement. They end that. He ends up becoming president of the country. He then chooses not to run for re-election in 1999, and instead starts his foundation in order to bring people together. And he also starts a group called the Elders, which are international leaders that he brought to the scene to basically do what the United Nations tries to do, is to solve problems and stop conflicts from taking place. And because he does all this, I think he'd be the ideal vice president. And he had this great capacity for forgiveness. Here he was in prison, as DC talked about, so much of his life, and when he forgave his jailers, he forgave those that oppressed him. It was just remarkable after all he went through that he had that within him. And so I think he'd be a great leader. For Secretary of State, I will go with JFK. And the reason I go with Kennedy is that Kennedy understood the international scene. He understood how dangerous nuclear war was, the threat of it. In the Cuban Missile Crisis, he had back-channel conversations going on with Khrushchev to de-escalate and to calm everything down. And they wrote letters to each other about their children and, what a disaster it'd be for the world and for their children. And then shortly before he was assassinated, he gave a speech at American University saying we were going to pull out of Vietnam. And basically, he was trying to end conflicts around the world and soften the Cold War that had been going on with Russia. And he just had a great sense of how international relations works and how we can try to bring people together on the international stage. So he'd be my Secretary of State. For Treasury, a little different direction. I went with Grover Cleveland. Cleveland was known as being one of the most upright and honest individuals, politicians during the Gilded Age, in a time when there was a lot of corruption in government at the state level and the national level. And when he was sheriff, when he was the mayor of Buffalo, he was well respected for ending a lot of wasted spending, a lot of corrupt spending. We became governor of New York. He took on Tammany Hall, the big political machine, and he ended a lot of the corruption that was going on at the state level. And then he runs for president, and then the story breaks that he had an affair earlier in his life with Maria Halpern, and they had a child together. And so that's like big news, right? This big controversy, this terrible story. And instead of denying it or trying to change the narrative, he stepped forward and took responsibility for all of it. He said it was all true. It happened. And he was supporting the child financially, which he did the rest of his life. So people in the United States at that time who were voting for president seemed to embrace the fact that he was honest. He wasn't trying to cover it up. He wasn't playing games with it. He admitted and told the truth. He gets into office and he does the same thing. He brings some fiscal responsibility to our government. We end up he ends up losing his election to Harrison, and Harrison was promoting major tariffs and won that argument. He wins the election. The tariffs didn't work. It hurt our economy. Grover Cleveland becomes the first person and only person so far that was elected not in 2 consecutive terms, and gets reelected again and is back in office and works really hard to try to improve our economy. However, we have this huge depression that happens at that time, and he ends up favoring the silver standard over the gold standard, which was a mistake on his part. He later admitted. So I make him Treasury. I put him in position to run the Treasury just because he was an honest guy who dealt with finances all the time. Attorney General, I agree with DC. I would go with Thurgood Marshall without question of everybody on this list. Here's a guy who went to historically black college, graduates, he applies to law school at University of Maryland. He's not accepted because of his race. So he goes to Howard, graduates #1 in his class. He's doing all this because he wants to fight civil rights, for civil rights. And this is during the era of Jim Crow. And he's trying to fight for civil rights through the court system. He does it very successfully. He tries a number of cases before the Supreme Court. His most famous one was Brown versus Board of Education in 1954 that overthrew the Plessy versus Ferguson. So now he's helped our whole system, our whole society. JFK appoints him to the appellate court. LBJ appoints him to the Supreme Court. I think he's like tailor-made to be the Attorney General. And in each one of these people, I think character-wise, they just fit in so well, because they represent the good in the human race. For defense, I go like a really different direction. I'm going to go with Mary Fields because she's like a fascinating individual. Here she was born into slavery. When she becomes free, and this is a big woman. She's 6 feet tall, weighs 200 pounds. When she's free, she ends up in Montana working, and she's kind of lives a hard life to a degree. She drinks in the saloons with the men. She smokes cigars. There are all kinds of stories about her. Some probably are true, some not true, about confrontations she has with men, stands up to them. But she ends up becoming the first African-American woman to get a work for the U.S. Postal route, have her own route. And she's got to take a stagecoach 34-mile distance between two cities in Montana. Really dangerous because of the weather, really dangerous because of bandits and outlaws. She carries a revolver, a shotgun, and men are generally afraid of her. She does this when she's 63 years old. She gets the contract with the postal company when she's 63 years old. She does it. They give her the contract because they tested her. She hitched up 6 horses faster than any man did at age 63. So she has the contract. She does this till she's 71 or so, and then retires. She runs a couple of restaurants for a while, doesn't do very well because as tough as she is, she has this element of kindness too. So she's feeding the hungry. People come in who can't afford to pay for a meal. She lets them eat for free. And she's like, when she retires, she's like a hero, a celebrity in Cascade, Montana. They actually shut down the schools for her birthday as a local thing. However, the local government passes a law saying that females are no longer allowed to drink in the saloon, so she can't go to the saloon anymore. So there's a kind of a mixed bag here. Then the very next year, a new mayor comes in. He rescinds that and allows women to be able to go in, and so goes back to drinking with her male buddies again. And then she goes to vote, and when she votes, within a month, her house burns down, and then she dies short time after that, and they bury her with a tin cross with no name on it. So there was a little mixed bag, about being accepted as a celebrity, but also being the only African American in town, and how she was treated. But her toughness and her kindness, I just think she'd be an interesting Secretary of Defense. So it's kind of an off-the-wall choice. And then for education, I thought about Einstein. I thought that was a logical choice, but I went with Frederick Douglass. And the reason I went with him is that I've read his narrative, his autobiography, and I was fascinated by it because here's a guy who everybody knows was a slave. He escaped slavery, but he had moved. He went from a plantation situation where he went through terrible times, went to Baltimore, worked in a household. The lady of the house helped educate him to begin with, until her husband saw what was happening. He put a stop to it. Frederick Douglass had just now got a taste of education, so he's out in the streets, and he's getting these young white kids to teach him how to read and how to write. When he finally escaped slavery, he writes this book. This is called The Narrative of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, and it says written by himself. It was 1845, and if you read this, it's incredible how well written it is, how well worded the whole thing is, and how he tells his story. It's actually amazing. And he goes on, as everybody knows him, to be a great orator. And I think he values education so greatly. And he did all this stuff fighting for abolition in a time where people are aware of it, but you could get arrested for having abolitionist material in your home. Francis Scott Key, who was the author of the Star Spangled Banner, was a district attorney in Washington, D.C. when Andrew Jackson was president. Francis Scott Key was arresting people who had abolitionist writing material, written material, pamphlets in their homes. They weren't doing anything. They found out these people had this stuff. They didn't want them to distribute it. They'd arrest them and put them in jail. So Frederick Douglass was doing all this stuff at great risk to himself. So I just think his appreciation for education would make that department just blossom. So anyway, that's kind of a long-winded answer, but that's where I would stand.
Appreciate that, my friend. And again, I want to let our audience know some great comments here. Thank you guys for being able to appreciate what edutainment is all about, because at the end of the day, pomp and circumstance notwithstanding, this is a place where hopefully you can listen, learn, laugh, love. That's what life is all about. The 5 L's. And these men are giving it to you in a very wholehearted fashion. There's nothing contrived about this. They're organizing their thoughts. They're conveyed in such a very deep way. We appreciate that. Again, we appreciate the time and research they put into this. 2 out of 3. We'll move on, guys and gals. There's another topic after this. And again, you guys will be voting right after topic number 1. Once Jason London is finished, Mr. Stevie Ray will be on screen, a very intelligent human being that understands just about any other topic that we've ever delved into. He's going to give us his thoughts and vote. So will our other 2 judges. Guys and gals, it's not going to be easy to vote, but easy doesn't win ball games, right? That's how life is. Guys and gals and pals, I want to ask Jason London the same question again. The choices that you have, my friend. Plug them into the following: Vice President of the United States, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Attorney General, Department of Defense, Department of Education. The floor is yours whenever you're ready, good sir. In a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Okay. Well, first off, for some reason, I think I missed out on the Secretary of the Treasury one. So that one I'm probably going to end up missing out on. But I kind of wanted to start, by sort of understanding the question, which is, if I'm the president now, and we're taking these people from history,
sure.
And some of these people had history due to the era that they lived in at the time that they lived in, and I tried to, in my mind, I tried to say, well, then what if we took that person and it was right now, that same person with the same attitude and the same drive that they had. So
plugged into modern society in 2024.
Right. And and the guys, which shows to me like sort of on the same level as you guys picked a couple of people that I had picked. I have a backup a little bit on Attorney General. Thurgood Marshall was, I think, the greatest choice there was. For me, other than that, I went with Thomas Jefferson on that one, in the sense of that he had a deep understanding of the law. He was our premier writer at the time. I mean, everybody kind of fell back on him for his genius at his ability to write. And we all know that historically there were some things that wouldn't be so cool now, but I think that these same people would have had different ideals and been a little different in modern society if we could have their same mentality and that same kind of heart, and just to think about what he achieved and basically being the main writer of the Declaration of Independence, but the fact that he was writing things that George Washington would take and he would share with his troops, and his troops were down, and then his writing would lift them up. And I think that, he gave up his law practice to basically try to be a man of the people. And so for that, my backup would be Thomas Jefferson. My first was going to be Thurgood Marshall. But I was going to go with, on education, something a little different as well, because I'm trying to put that in a box of somebody that might be alive. If they were alive today, what would they contribute, and who would they be? And we all know what's going on in our country and everything that we're going through right now. And the power of the woman had been ignored for so long, whenever they were so wonderful and so strong in what they were trying to do. And for me, as I look back on it, I think about what she did, and she's a tiny little lady who ended up to be the first woman on one of our coins, Susan B. Anthony. And, she was one of the ladies that started the suffrage movement. She was one of the first people that tried to abolish slavery. She single-handedly got 400,000 signatures towards abolishing slavery. She got arrested for voting when women weren't allowed to vote, and then that turned into the Susan B. Anthony amendment that turned into the 19th amendment. So as far as like a perfect person to be a part of our Department of Education, for myself, I can't imagine anybody better than Susan B. Anthony for that one. So amazing, Pete, that you brought up the Secretary of Defense being Stagecoach Mary Fields, because that's how I met Avi. I wrote the script for the movie.
Wow.
That we're hopefully going to get made. So it's like you said all the good stuff already. But to remind people of who Stagecoach Mary Fields was, is she was born a slave, and when she was 30 years old, that's when slavery was abolished, and she took straight off. I mean, she was out of there as quickly as she could be. Even left family behind. Left her parents behind, left everybody behind. She ended up actually working on like a steamboat on the Mississippi River, and she got rough and tough. She started drinking with those guys. She started smoking with those guys. She was rough and tough, but she had been educated, because when she was, not educated, she learned how to read and write, because her slave owner's daughter, they were very close, very tight, and she taught Mary how to read, and they would have to hide it. They would have to hide the fact that they were doing it. She taught her how to read and write. So Mary was already smarter than those guys she was working on the steamboat with. And then at one point she met this judge who just absolutely adored her, and he hired her to move to his estate in Florida and help him take care of her kids in the house and everything else, and his wife, who was very sick. His wife ended up passing away. And she took the children by herself up to where his sister, who was a mother superior at the convent, and went up there, and she still cussed and drank, and she got in a fight where she almost shot a guy. And so they ended up being like, "Yo, you need to find something else to do." We happen to have this old Wells Fargo wagon out in the back of the convent. And Wells Fargo or the United States Postal Service is needing drivers, and she was already 60-something years old, and she had to compete against many men, all these men. She had to do things like it was 6 horses on a wagon. She did it all herself. She could shoot. She held off coyotes. She held off robbers. She held off everything. So just in a sense of somebody who's just a badass, her as the Secretary of Defense would be really cool. Now, on a practical level, I'm thinking big picture here. My backup for it is Alexander the Great. It's like if you're really gonna have to pick somebody who's gonna go take care of business, I think I'm gonna go with Alexander the Great on that one. And for me on Secretary of State, one of our great diplomats of the day of Founding Fathers era, and one of the co-signers of the Declaration of Independence, the man who could charm the socks off of anyone, who had a great sense of humor. And he actually became famous before he was famous as a female. His pen name, I forget what it was. It was a really interesting name, but it was Benjamin Franklin, and you had mentioned him earlier. And so I think that he would be a great Secretary of State in the sense that he was a great diplomat. You know, he was also one of the guys that was there kind of smacking Jefferson around whenever he was working on getting everything written, and he'd be the one, nah, don't say it like that, say it like this a little bit, and add a little bit of that. And he would also be the guy that could add a little bit of humor and a little bit of levity to situations that got really out of hand, and that would start to get out of hand whenever all of these egos were in there trying to talk to each other. He would kind of let the air out of the windbags just with a couple of brilliant words. And so not only was he a wordsmith, incredible inventor. I mean, sort of, you know, they say the father of electricity, whatever. Well, he was one of the first guys that did figure out sort of the whole notion of how static worked and static electricity worked. And he basically built essentially the first kind of a light bulb. But what it was it had the positive and the negative on it. He was the first one that figured that out with electricity and made the first battery. So he was an inventor. He was a man of the world. And he was, and we all know what Ben Franklin looked like. And that man was a ladies' man. That man was he was a ladies' man. The only reason we wouldn't have him and he would get himself in trouble these days. We'd have to calm him down. But I would definitely take him as my Secretary of State. And so, you know, that being said, I've been the one I've been waiting for the most is the one that somebody who I've always been incredibly just looked up to so much and so excited about it. The opportunity to get to talk about him is Theodore Roosevelt. You know, there's a reason that his face is on Mount Rushmore. You know, there's he was the first sort of rock star president. And it was sort of happenstance kind of thing. Anyways, he wasn't really trying to work his way to be the president. He was he was Harvard educated, but he hadn't really been around. He wasn't really that social. He was a real sick kid. He was basically he was born into like the 5th richest family in New York. His father was a glass importer, and he was really sick growing up, so he was homeschooled. So he didn't really have a lot of activity with socializing with other kids and everything. And but he really looked up to his father. There's a wonderful picture because his father was sort of upper class and it was kind of in the know with a lot of people. When he was a boy, there's this picture of Abraham Lincoln's funeral going through the middle of this town, and up in the window, there's 2 little boys looking down, and they're 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that. Well, it turned out that was Theodore Roosevelt and his brother looking down and seeing the president and his funeral, seeing his casket go by. And even at a young age, that's something, when he saw the admiration that he had from all of the people and the huge crowds following him, and it was something that intrigued him. And it was also, on top of that, something that he really wanted to make his father proud. He didn't necessarily want to go into industry the way that his father did, but he did have the money. He went to Harvard. He did well there. But a really unpopular thing to do after you graduate Harvard was to become a politician. And he decided that's something that he was going to do anyway. And the reason I say VP is because it's something important, and we're dealing with this in our life right now, which is, you know, if something does happen to the president, that other person, the VP will be the president. It's incredibly important to look at who's standing right there behind in case someone is maybe a little too old or something happens. And what our options right now are pretty. Yeah. And so, So he became like an assistant secretary of the Navy, and then the whole Spanish-Cuban fight started happening, and he was really kind of gung-ho to fight and everything. So he actually quit the Navy, and he put together this ragtag group of, well, first off, it was a bunch of Ivy League, cronies and things like that came in and had the brains, but then he got the brawn, and he had already spent so much time hunting in the West and learning how to live off the land and learning from these people and learning to understand that just because he came from wealth, that when he saw what the real man, the common man, the average man dealt with on a daily basis and lived their life, he wanted to relate to them. And that's why he was such a great president, because he was a president of the people. And then whenever they went in and they basically, the Rough Riders kicked butt at San Juan Hill, and helped with that. And then he came back and he became the governor of New York. But he was so outspoken that he was part of the Republican Party, the Lincoln's Republican Party, right? So he was so outspoken that even the Republicans were annoyed by him. So what they did was, and this is interesting things, they demoted him to vice president of the United States. Demoted him, because back then the vice president really was kind of a nothing. There was a saying back then that if a mother had two sons and she sent one to war and she sent one to be the VP, you'd never hear of both of them again. So it was like, it was not appreciated. It was not an appreciated position. And so within less than a year, William McKinley was shot and killed, and then he became the president. And once he became the president, he basically said, look, there's some reform. And since Lincoln, Congress has basically been in charge of everything, it's time for an executive, the man with executive power, to come in and show some executive power. And so he went from being the VP to being, one of our greatest presidents, and then whenever he was elected as an incumbent, he won by some 2.5 million votes, something unheard of, something unprecedented. And and was a great president during that time as well. So my point, I think, overall with picking him was, he was the first time that it was proof that having an amazing VP is crucial. It's vital, and it's so incredibly crucial to us right now in the time that we're living in. That for me, I learned so much from it, because I guess like everybody else, you kind of sort of don't really think about the vice president as much. And whenever the whole idea was, and then this guy was, what happened was, after him, William Howard Taft came in and just was awful. Nobody liked him. So he wanted to come back in, kind of save the country again, but he kind of went in under a third party. He's giving a speech, standing in the back of a limo, and a guy comes up and shoots him in the chest. And it hit his glasses case and his speech. He had a 90-minute speech that he had in his pocket. And he went ahead and went on. He looked down, he coughed. There was no blood, didn't get the lung. And he went and he gave a 90-minute speech before the doctors insisted that he go to the hospital. So just a genuine badass. So the point of that for me was, VP really matters. That's it.
Appreciate you, my friend. Guys and gals, Mr. Jason London, he and I have a show from London is Burning that will be coming soon under this great umbrella. Guys, I'm going to bring in Stevie Ray in exactly 1 minute. Less than that, I do want to let you guys know that you can start voting now in the comment section. I'll tally it up on screen so our luminaries can see how the votes are going. I want to bring this up because when I brought up the fact that I can't cook a lick earlier, and I reveal that to all of you guys and gals and pals watching, you didn't know that because you don't exist in my private space. And that's why I decided, not cooking or lack thereof, but that's why I decided to do this show the way we have, the format, if you want to call it that. The reason why is because I want to make sure that all of you can understand that these three gentlemen epitomize exactly what TKN's all about. You get to know about the person behind the persona. That's what it's about. Of course, you see DC Glenn rocking the house in front of 100,000 people doing his thing and entertaining you. But the mind he has, that's what we want to be able to know. We want to peel back layers and let the masses know that despite the media and talking heads, and forgive me for being on a quick soapbox here, they cannot control the narrative of who we are as people. They can't. They don't know us the way that we know ourselves. Pete Babcock, a man who, of course, is a great NBA GM and a great historian, but what he's done and what he's taught about all things civil rights in U.S. history, it's no mystery that this man can educate you the way that he does. Of course, Mr. Jason London, guys and gals, People say that all actors do are read lines. Really? This man does so much research, not just as a screenwriter, as an actor, but as a passionate human being that wants to know about the world around him because he's inquisitive and intelligent and offers so much as a person. That's what this tournament is all about. Conspicuous by his absence on this list was Robert McNamara. I'll get into that later, guys and gals. But hey, I do recommend, I know that's my second shot on old McNamara. Watch Fog of War. It's a great documentary at the end of McNamara's life. If nobody's seen it, I recommend it. He comes clean about Vietnam. God almighty, Fog of War. Check that out. It's a great documentary.
Great.
Yeah, Fog of War. You got to check it out. Fog of War. Okay, great. Yeah, Fog of War. It's great. Guys, of course, we know that if we're up to Mr. McNamara, World War III might have commenced, and we know that. Didn't happen thanks to JFK and Khrushchev and a Soviet who was unnamed. We'll get into that some time down the road. An unsung hero, if you will, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Guys and gals, an unsung hero? Yes, because here on TKN...
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you're right. Yes. And we'll talk about that, man, because he really has such a big role in history. And a big role here in TKN is Mr. Stevie Ray, who I'm glad is a part of this right now because, man, I got to tell you, class personified and an intelligent human being. He'll be judging right now. He can take as long as he wants to address anybody he wants. The floor is yours, Mr. Stevie Ray.
Hey, guys. What's going on, man? Big fan of all you. Big fan of all you guys, man. And DC, I'm going to be in Atlanta next month, man.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Atlanta next month. I'm teared up. But anyway, listen. This is my first time, guys. Actually, Avi sent me clips, and I've kind of scrolled through them. But this is the first time I've actually sit down and watched the combatants and listen to the combatants do what they do. And all of you guys are on top of your game, man. All of you guys, Jason. I didn't recognize you. I recognized your name, but I didn't recognize your face on the flyer. But then I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy that was in the movie where he was out in the field and he fell off the
Man in the Moon, my first movie. Yes.
Fell off the tractor, and I guess the tractor got him. You know,
you don't give it away.
I don't know. I can't. I just remember the part.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah. That's a beautiful movie. It's called The Man in the Moon. It was.
Man. And Pete, you know, hey, I've been following you for years, man. You do your thing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. You're the man, man. You do your thing, man. I really admire that. But getting back to what you guys have been pretty much articulating, the people that you guys would pick for your cabinet, man, I couldn't. What I really like about what everybody's doing and how the show is structured, that you guys elocute why you pick these people, and that's unusual, especially when you give a whole diatribe as to why you're doing that. I like that, man. It's very, very interesting. I think the fans like it also, and very, very interesting. But if I can't agree or disagree with anybody, but I'm going to be straight up and honest, I agreed with Pete and DC almost equally. Almost equally. If I was, being a judge. And if I had to pick one, I would probably say Pete. If I had to pick one, only because of Albert Einstein. That is the one guy I wouldn't have on my cabinet. But that's just me. But other than the Albert Einstein, I loved it, DC. I loved it. I don't know what more to say to that. Jason, I like yours too, but I just seen like Pete and DC was on top of things.
Right.
They seemed like they were just on top of things. Go ahead.
It's funny because I had picked Susan B. Anthony first.
Right.
Right. Because of the, same reasons, right? Like she really was into educating women and educating everybody. And I picked her first, but I was trying to be slick and pick out, and I still picked Albert Einstein because, like I said, my thing was balance. And you want to have somebody, you want his intellect but you kind of got to corral it in a way that it's practical for everybody.
And I can understand that, brother. I can understand that 100%. Intellectually, all of these candidates are worthy. But frankly, when it comes to Albert Einstein, and this is just me, it's just very small critique. When it comes to Albert Einstein, I take him outside of his realm. How smart is he? That's all I'm saying.
Do you mean if you take an Albert Einstein and transport him here to 2024? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm talking about back in his time.
Okay.
Because Albert Einstein, Fermi, and all those guys are the ones that went to Roosevelt and say, "Let's build an atomic bomb," and see what that got us.
Guys and gals and pals, again, Mr. Stevie Ray, who's waiting for competition. He'll get it really soon in this tournament. And man, if you think that's competition, guys, Stevie and I chop it up for 3 hours on the phone a lot. And, nothing competitive about it, but it is sort of a feeding frenzy of informative experiences that he and I have had. He will provide you that as well. So it'll be a great learning experience when Stevie takes the floor as an actual participant very, very soon. Man, oh man. I got to say this. Grover Cleveland's name got brought up. And you know how he avoided military service? You guys know how he did? He hired a substitute for $300. He did that. That's how he avoided military service. But
which was legal during the Civil War.
You're absolutely right.
During the Civil War,
Can I say something to Jason?
Yeah.
Jason, to me, was being a little bit too kind when he was talking about Benjamin Franklin.
Oh,
that threw me off. When he was talking about Benjamin Franklin being the ladies' man. So, you should have just brought it out. To me, this is my critique, that Benjamin was having the freak offs before Diddy. You should have said it. You know what I'm saying? You should have said it.
No, that was LBJ. That was LBJ.
No, but Franklin happened before that, bro.
Well, no, I mean, look, all I know is the stories I've read about it, him being a ladies' man.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know about any details.
Oh, come on, you read them. You just didn't want to say it, man. You got producers and stuff. Look, you didn't want to say it.
I do know that he was a little bit of a freak, though, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why I said that's also why I said if we were in the cabinet today, we'd have to keep him on a leash because he did then that he did that now.
You did say that, but for the ill-informed, they didn't know exactly what you was talking about. That's all I'm saying.
I just would never go that far with it.
I would have loved it if you did, though.
Man, I'll tell you this, though. The cool thing about Cleveland, though, is that if you think about it, during a time where if you didn't serve, that would be held against you if you were running for office. But his reputation was as a hard-working lawyer, and that's what people really resonated with. He presented his arguments from memory. Not many people could do that. And that was Mr. Cleveland. Guys and gals and pals, I'm going to keep Stevie on here. Why now? We're having a good time because our other judges are going to come in, and then your votes will be on full display here on screen, and we'll move over to topic number 2, which is a lot quicker. It's thought-provoking, and then we'll find out who moves on to round number 3 momentarily. Guys, let's bring in Giselle, who's judging as well. Who do you vote for and why?
Good evening, gentlemen. It's so great to see you all back here, and welcome to the green room, Stevie Ray.
How you doing?
I'm good. I am excited for your match coming up whenever that's going to happen. So
am I.
It's going to be...
It ain't going to be for the weak and hard, I'll tell you that. I'm no Jason.
All right. Mr. London,
yeah.
I love how you thought about if you took the person from their time, plugged them into now, what would they be like? Bonsoir, Natalie. Pete, you have creative choices that I think a lot of people would not have thought of. And you articulated those reasons why very well in an understandable manner. I love that. But my vote for this topic is going to DC Glenn. I like that he thought about the balance and how they would all interact with each other and work with each other.
Up on me.
And he understands that you need to surround yourself with people that will strengthen your deficiencies and your weaknesses. So my vote for this topic goes to DC Glenn.
Appreciate that, Giselle. And if you could tally as well, I would appreciate that. We have one for Pete Babcock, one for DC Glenn. Let's bring in Mr. Jamie Sparling and see who he votes for and why.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much. That was amazing. The heart and soul that went into putting all those kind of concepts together there. I take my hat off to you, and how dare I not know more about some of the politicians I vote for? I think this was an important thing to kind of talk about right now. I mean, quite often we have a fantasy football team, but we just don't know what's going on down the street, and that really hit me. My vote is going to go to DC Glenn. He finished it off with saying that it talked about balance, and he also said, "Hey, DC Glenn, you started off talking about balance, sir, and then you finished it up with a smile, and you said that's a world that I want to live in." And that hit me right there as to that's why actually I get a chance to go and vote for a world I want to live in. I'm probably going to bitch about it. I appreciate each and every one of you for helping me to look at it differently today.
Appreciate you, Jamie. Great storyteller, guys and gals. Great all-around talent, as is Giselle. Guys and gals and pals, I am going to pull up your votes now. We're going to tally that. Giselle and Jamie, I'm going to put you both in the back. Thank you again. Appreciate that. And Mr. Stevie Ray, I want to bring this up, my friend, because as I pull up the votes, Giselle, I'm not going to maybe say them out loud, but you'll see them and tally them, because I want to ask Stevie a question that maybe he can articulate. Stevie, Jamie said something very interesting. You and I always talk about this, how essentially people vote for their politicians like they root for their sports teams.
Right.
They don't know much about policies. They more or less subscribe to popularity over policy. Would you agree with that, Mr. Stevie Ray?
Have you looked at the world we lived in it for the past 8 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very evident.
Do you see that?
I think
Stevie,
it's self-explanatory, because it seems like, in one man's opinion, it seems like the more advanced we get as a population, the more the mind does not want to learn anything about history and how things come about. So if you don't have any other foundation than that, what do you resort to? Popularity.
Sure. Sharon, let us know one, my friend. Jason in DC, who do you vote for? Give us one if you can. My question to the panel is, do you think it's going to get worse before it gets better, as it pertains to what I just asked, but how the masses view, and really in terms of idol worship, how they put politicians on a pedestal without really applying their knowledge into what the policies that they stand for are truly about? Do you think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better? Your opinion.
You're talking to me?
Anybody.
Oh,
anyone.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Anyone that wants to jump in. Stevie, anybody.
Well,
is it going to get worse before it gets better?
I worry about there's so much misinformation that's out there, that that people are making decisions and picking sides without having the facts, without I don't know, their version of the facts. It's just that concerns me an awful lot, that there's so much distrust that's been sown about our system, about the election system, and you can't trust this, you can't trust that, you can't trust the DOJ, you can't trust the FBI, you can't, if the elections are all rigged, there's so much. It bothers me that there's so much distrust by so many people, and how do you win that back? Even no matter how many people are told over and over again that, for example, the elections were fair, there's always going to be some discrepancies in every election in history, but it's a handful. It's not millions of votes that are miscounted or wrong. But
what about the lack of ethics that we're witnessing, though, on a day-to-day basis? Because everyone gets caught in someone's journalistic crosshairs today in the media, and we're seeing that, and that's very prevalent. So even if people want real information and not misinformation, I know where I go. Where do people go? That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the issues that I have is that politicians in general won't step up and accept responsibility. When JFK, after the Bay of Pigs, JFK said it's my fault.
Well, he never trusted his military again after that.
He took out, he took out his feelings on the CIA and the military, but publicly he stepped up and said, I made the call. It was my fault. It was a mistake. I shouldn't have listened to the CIA. I shouldn't have listened to the military leaders, but he accepted responsibility.
He did.
Why don't politicians today just say, hey, I blew it on that,
He thought we were training Cuban refugees that, again, had some sort of experience, not militarily speaking, but these were cab drivers, these were doctors, these were people that literally were led to slaughter. And when he found out exactly what happened in 61 when that occurred, you're right. He never tried, but he publicly, and some people say that was maybe the nail in his coffin as a human being alive on this planet, in this existence, was he publicly and openly spoke about his distrust for all things military and, of course, the CIA.
Yeah, well, and I mean, as you know, like things that have come out, like last couple of summers, more files have been released, and one was called the Northwood Memo, and a Northwood Memo showed that this is something that's been suppressed for years. That the Joint Chiefs of Staff had proposed to Kennedy that they do a false, a red flag, kind of a false red flag event to try to go to war with Cuba.
Yeah.
And the examples that they gave were incredible. One was, this is coming from the Joint Chiefs of Staff that they all signed off on: shoot down one of our airliners,
right,
and sacrifice all those people and blame it on Cuba. Another one was sink one of our destroyers and sacrifice the lives of those sailors and blame it on Cuba. Things like that are insane. It's like, and Kennedy obviously said, no, you're out of your minds. We can't do anything like that. And then he was trying to bring the temperature down, but
Yeah, no, and you bring that up. If you think about it, every one of our wars, it was a false flag operation. If you think about that, every single one of them that we've had. Again, if you think about it, even the Warren Commission, when you're talking about Kennedy, everyone knows that was a farce. It didn't really do much. But at the end of the day, being able to, as Jason is a screenwriter, I always tell this to Stevie, and Stevie, again, gives me more depth even. And we were both very passionate about this. The greatest screenwriters exist in the White House. And it's not conjecture. I mean, I think we're finding that out now. So guys and gals, we're going to now.
Frank Zappa said it best.
Yeah.
He said the politics are basically the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex.
That's sadly.
And, when you talk about Kennedy, one of the things that people should know about was that there were two conspiracies that took place. One was to kill Kennedy, and the other was to cover it up. Really, that's how we should approach it when we look at the Kennedy assassination. There were two.
What was your original question? Like, what was the original question again?
As far as topic one? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
As far as our little...
Do you think, DC Glenn, that it's going to get worse before it gets better as it pertains to how the public views our politicians, where they essentially celebrate popularity over policy?
I kind of look at it a little different. I look at it as, if you think about history, I've been on this earth 58 years.
Right.
And there are times in my life where there seemed like there was no hope. Like 9/11. I mean, we know how that felt, right? Or you can go back to when Nixon was about to get impeached. You know how that felt, right? I mean, there's even the financial crisis, when the housing in 07, 08, it felt like there was no hope, right?
Yeah, but don't remind me.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's always two sides to everything, right? Right. And if you deal with things emotionally, or if you deal with things in a way that you kind of fear, well, fear creates fear, which creates more fear, right? And instead of the financial crisis, if you really looked at it, how can I come up through this? Because the game is the game, right? We're all playing the game. How do you play the game better? But you got to take your emotion out of it. And you also have to, here's something that was said earlier. You got to take responsibility for your actions. If you can't take responsibility for your actions, you are stuck forever. Once you take responsibility, like I signed a messed up record contract and I could have became an old bitter rapper talking about my glory days. But I was like, you know what? I signed a messed up record contract because I wanted to be a star and I don't give a damn. But I am going to do everything I can and study and figure out how I can win. And I basically became a paralegal and I prevailed after 20 years. Like, we all have a choice. So that's why I really don't knock nobody for who they vote for, because your vote is your vote.
Sure.
And you don't know people's upbringing, where they've grown up. And I travel all over this country doing shows everywhere, and we all want the same thing. We all want to be left alone. We want to raise our families. We want to make a good income and leave something for our kids. And that's the thing that binds us together. All the other stuff is just noise. But to you guys' point,
right?
Sure is hard. There's more to sift through now than there's ever been in history, right?
Without question.
So that's the hard part, and that's the challenge of today.
Very well said. And again, I want you gentlemen to know, Stevie, DC, Jason, and Pete, there are a lot of people right now in the comments section. We've got about 1,400 watching on YouTube alone, more on Facebook, 53 group pages, and they're all saying the same thing here. I can't pull up all the comments, but they're learning a lot. They're learning a lot from you guys, and that really, it speaks to me, because I think a lot of the times we think that our passion, which is usually backed by fact here on this network especially, may not resonate with people because people are conditioned to something salacious. No, our audience is proving that wrong. They do love what you guys are bringing to the table and what you're teaching and educating them about. So thank you again for being here tonight. It means a lot to me. Jacques says, just think of the theories of the Twin Towers. That's going to be a topic, Jacques. Hard-hitting topics in round number 2. I think that movies, Jacques says, right, Stevie, are influencing the average citizen too much, although we know it's a movie, conspiracy, and more. Guys, 9/11 is coming up. It will be a topic that, trust me, the participant and participants can handle, and they're going to talk about it in ways that nobody else has. We do conversation, not controversy, but we go knee deep, guys. That's it. We have our votes for topic number 1. Mr. Stevie Ray, I'm going to put you backstage as we delve into our final topic right now, our last topic. Thank you, good sir. Appreciate you a ton. Guys, I'm going to set this topic up right now because we're going to find out after this very topic who advances to round number 3. We're only one. Think about that. I get goosebumps. Only one out of 131 participants, Hall of Famers for the world of sports, music. Guys, we're growing, and there's a lot of people interested in what we're doing, and I guarantee you that the real prize is being able to do this again and learn from others on screen and off. 2 out of 3 will advance to round number 3, and eventually 1 will be the one who stands tall and wins this whole tournament. Nothing like it before. It's tempting to say that surface level stuff that the world is already damn serious about has no place here, but sometimes you have to resist the urge to tune it all out and go deep. You have to be inquisitive, because that can make you feel better, not bitter about everything. I think it's important to ask questions. I think it's important to ask questions and listen to the answers and responses, because otherwise, like a plastic bag, we might just be letting ourselves float in the wind. So the question I have, and this is for Mr. Pete Babcock first, is reality always fathomable by logic? Is reality always fathomable by logic? The floor is yours, good sir, whenever you are ready.
Oh, Avi, you picked this really deep. I'm a basketball guy, and you're asking me a philosophical question. So logic is so complicated. I read some stuff about how Einstein would try to use logic when he would go on his walks to try to imagine what reality really was, like thinking about the black hole and, like, what is it? And how do you define it? And but then it's so hard to put it in one perspective. Like if you talk to quantum physicists, they will say that, like, your desk is made up of atoms, and atoms are basically nothing. So it's not really a material object that you can touch, but we know that you can put your hand on the desk and it feels like it's something solid. And it's actually, atoms are made up of empty space. So how do you define that? Where's the logic that's involved? things change all the time. So let's go way back in time. Logic would have told us years and years ago the Earth was flat. There was no reason to think that it wasn't until science proved that it wasn't flat. So logic will change based on knowledge and learning. And there's different kinds of logic. There's like we're going through this thing about the political debates that go on. You got people will use faulty logic. Like one candidate might say, we need stricter laws on fighting pollution, and then the opponent will come back and say, well, he or she wants to shut down all the factories in the country and get rid of all these jobs. That's not what the person said. They said we should have stricter laws governing pollution. So you get faulty logic. And then also in the political debates, they attack character when, like, one candidate might say, I'm not a scientist, but here's how I feel about climate change. The opponent comes back and say, like, why should we listen to them? They're not a scientist, and it's like a personal attack on them and their credentials when they're talking about an issue. It's hard to define logic. I think it's hard to say that logic is always, it reinforces reality. I don't think that's the case, because there are cases like what I just said about the Earth being flat, at a time in history, and that there was no logic to say that it wasn't. 200 years from now, mankind's going to look back and wonder why our generation didn't understand something, because things changed. Things changed. We know that like 30 to 70% of the universe is made up of dark matter, but we can't define what dark matter is. Now, at some point, somebody will, but I don't know. I don't think logic always translates into reality. Because there can be misguided logic, there can be misinformed logic. There can be faulty logic. So, and I was reading some article where it said human beings generally make 5 to 10 illogical decisions a day, or they make decisions based on faulty logic, because they just either the unknown or they're reacting to something, a spur of the moment. So I guess my answer would be that you can't always equate logic with reality. One doesn't lead to the other necessarily.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate you exploring that topic. Absolutely, guys. Again, Jason, Pete, DC Glenn, Stevie Ray, incredible. They're sharing us their minds and their souls. I tell my acting students there are no mistakes, only discoveries. And Pete, Jason, and DC Glenn, a lot of discoveries here, guys and gals, because we're discovering exactly how they feel about some of these topics that maybe should be questioned and dissected. I'm going to kick it over now to Mr. Jason London, and I'll ask him the same question. My friend, is reality always fathomable by logic? However you want to approach this, the floor is yours, good sir.
Well, it's a complex question. I almost see it in the beginning, almost like a two-parter. Is reality fathomable? Well, we would say yes, it is. All reality is fathomable, I guess, to a certain extent, but it has to make sense, right? It has to make sense. I think the thing that differentiates sort of science from sort of false beliefs or false narratives or fake news. We're getting a lot with AI now. We're getting a lot of things that seem logical to us that actually, when you flip it on its head, it's not. I think that there are a lot of, like, there was a great part of your question that said something about sort of just kind of letting things go, letting yourself kind of drift. And I think that there are times whenever in reality, it is fathomable by logic to, they say, let God and let go. whatever that means to you, whatever your God is, whatever that is. Sometimes you kind of have to kind of just close your eyes and release like this thing, because we have this incredible ability inside of us to somehow deal with pain that we kind of see it, like if that happened to us, something that happened to somebody else. If that happened to me, I can't imagine that I would be able to deal with it or be able to handle it. And then something bad happens to you, and by the grace of God, by the grace of being the human beings that we are, somehow we are able to deal with it. And we think of, that it would never happen to me, or when I'm trying to relate to having lost a couple of siblings a few years apart in car wrecks. And what happens is you go on an autopilot yourself, of where you go, I have no control over this reality, because it isn't logical. It doesn't make sense. It's happening right in front of my face, and it still doesn't make any sense. And you can pinch yourself, and you still don't wake up. And so, is reality fathomable by logic? Yes. I think it is, but like I said, I think it's a two-parter. Is reality fathomable? All reality is fathomable, but I'm not going to go say, well, my goal for this year is by the end of this year, I want to be 4 inches taller. I'm not, there's certain things I could do, I could put on 15 pounds of muscle if I wanted to. I could lose 15 pounds if I wanted to. I could, you can change the color of your eyes by using contacts. You can do things like that, change the color of your hair, do things like that. But if you're going to say, I really want to be taller, and what am I going to do? And you be like Stallone and just wear some big, thick boots or something like that. But trying to force reality to be something that you want it to be versus logically looking at it for what it actually is something that is helpful, because I think a lot of times it's a lot easier rather than even drifting, to sit still and wait for something to come to us. And when it's not coming to us, we get frustrated that it hasn't gotten there to us yet. So, can you manifest things with your hopes and your dreams and your minds? You can. But there has to be action put towards it. You have to sort of take that first step to get to that point. So I think I understood your question and answered it. I hope that makes sense. If not, these guys are so brilliant. It's an honor to even be in the same room with them.
Well, you're right there, my friend. You're one of the most brilliant people I know as well. And guys, again, Pete, Jason London, going very deep when it pertains to this topic. Topic number 2, our final topic of the evening. I will ask the same question to DC Glenn, and once DC Glenn, guys and gals and pals, concludes, I will bring in Stevie Ray, Giselle, and Jamie Sparling. We will vote. Again, you're voting on who resonated most with you, guys and gals. Voting for someone is a sign of respect. It means you resonated with me. It's not about anyone being better. There's no one better here. It's about who resonated most with you and why. Because Jason, Pete, and DC Glenn are not shy about giving us their whys. They're giving us their whys and then some. Mr. DC Glenn, the same question for you, good sir. Is reality always fathomable by logic?
That's a trick question, because it's both, right? It depends on who you are, where you're from, what your experiences are, how you were raised, your intelligence, how hard you studied in school, right? What time in history you were brought up. There's all kind of factors, right? But I think I could simplify it for people who have watched Star Trek. I grew up watching Star Trek. And this question is perfect, because all you got to think of is Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock. How many times have we heard Spock say, but Jim, that's illogical, right? And Jim was like, look, you big dummy, because of his experiences, because he puts a human feel to it, emotion, experience, common sense, right? Because a lot of us have common sense, but a lot of people don't have common sense, right? But sometimes Spock is saying something so logical that Jim will go, wow, I never looked at it that way, right? Because it is logical. So you have to be able to discern from both, right? I can give you a couple examples. I'm a black man. I'm a big black man. If I get on the elevator you know, and it's been my experience, people kind of start looking crazy because they don't know, because of their experiences and because of their beliefs or whatever. Right now, I can say to myself, that is illogical. Why wouldn't people give me the benefit of the doubt that I'm a good person? Right. But the reality of it is what it is. So I have a choice. Either I can get on that elevator and be pissed off and make that person nervous, or I can get on that elevator and smile. How you doing, ma'am? And diffuse the whole situation. And now I'm having a conversation with a person because I've diffused her beliefs and her logic and made it become both of our reality. That she's in the elevator having a conversation with a nice young man, right? There's all kind of ways we can diffuse this reality. Social media, you know, young people do social media because they want to be stars. They want attention, right? Well, seems illogical, but if you go back 20 or 30 years when we were young people, think about the dumb stuff we've done. You know, that's the beauty of life, is that you grow and you evolve. So things that we can look at young people say that is so illogical. They are so stupid. You can't do that when we used to do the same thing. So you can't hate on young people for being young, right? And that's a perfect example of logic and reality, because you only know what you know. And if you're in their reality, you just can't relate to it. But sometimes if you look at data, if you come up with different ways to relate to it, you can see where they're coming from. And because us being older gentlemen, have experience, we could take what they know, put it with what we know, and teach them in a different way, which creates common sense, which creates all the things that you would want a young person to know. But a young person is going to be a young person. They're young. They think they're invincible. That's just the way it is. So I could go on with example after example after example, but it really comes down to the person, and it comes down to the choices that we make to take logic and help somebody else see a real reality, right? So that's why I talk like I do, because I think backwards, right? I thrive in the bizarre world because I'm trying to figure out solutions. I could care less about the problem. I want the solution. I thrive in the upside down because you're going to get challenged with things in life. Life be lifing. And if you can't use your common sense, your intellect, and logic, and the things that you've learned for your whole life, you're going to have trouble. And everybody's not as fortunate as I am. I understand. It's not for everybody. But you're asking me these questions, and I'm giving it to you from my perspective. And my goal is to help people understand that you can change your reality, and logic can help you do that.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. Guys,
Avi.
Yes, Pete.
I vote for DC.
Guys and gals and pals, I'll tell you what. I want to say this. It's not right. I mean, these here have their use, but not after topic number 2, because I want to look you guys in the eyes as much as I can and let you know that even though we're, I guess, handicapped by this virtual arena that we're in, I can't shake your hands. But if I could, I would right now. I would shake your hand, and that's the biggest honor. My dad always told me, when you shake someone's hand, mean it. I would shake your hands, guys. You're beautiful. And I mean that in the most sincere way I can possibly convey that. Thank you. Thank you. Because, I get goosebumps listening to you guys. I get goosebumps knowing that we can gather around this amazing, incredible virtual space that we're in and still resonate with each other without being able to put a hand on somebody's shoulder and say, right on, right on. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. I'm going to bring in our judges now. And again, I don't envy them, because how do you vote on something like this? It's extremely difficult. Who resonated most with you and why? Guys and gals, I want to bring in a man who resonates with me, all of you, because of who he is, Mr. Stevie Ray.
I'm back. I'm back, guys. And brother, that was a good one. That was a really good one. Avi, I don't know where that question came from, but that's one of the questions that make you think. and you really have to think. But with all that being said, Jason, Pete, I love what you guys articulated. But DC, when he brought up the Star Trek, because I'm a Star Trek guy too, and we seen. I mean, I'm a real Star Trek guy, just like DC. So many conversations that the captain had with Spock. Spock didn't understand it because it wasn't logical. But the captain, because that's how he's built. He's built like a computer. Everything has to make sense from just like add and subtract, multiply and divide. And when it doesn't, he doesn't get it. And that's what the captain was trying to convey to him. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. But in essence, that's what the that wrote the show was trying to convey to the audience also. And I think, DC, that was a great analogy, brother. You got me on that one, dog. And people don't get me very much. Yeah. Because when you brought up the Star Trek thing, I was like, oh man, what that word was thrown around in Star Trek almost every episode. Almost every episode, man. So yeah, man, DC, you got me on that one, bro. So I agree 100%.
Because I wanted to start with common sense. But common sense is everybody don't have common sense, so a lot of people don't know what it is.
Common sense ain't so common these days, is it?
It's not.
Common sense ain't so common.
I was raised by a village of people. I'm very fortunate, right? I had to work in my, uncle and them's fields. I had to clean my room. I had to cut all those collard greens that I'm talking about. I had to cook them neck bone. I was raised by a wild pack of females. So
right.
Common sense is from your experiences, but everybody's experience is different.
Everybody's experience is different, especially when people do not understand where you're coming from and why.
Yeah.
Very true. Guys and gals, I'm going to read your comments. Bring in Giselle and Jamie. They're going to vote. And then we're going to find out in about 2 to 5 minutes who moves on to round number 3. John Glowiniak, thank you for joining us. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Common sense ain't so common. There are, guys, votes that you could put in the comment section now. Don't wait for us. You could put in your votes right now in the comment section. We can't count them all. It'll take all night, but put in your votes. I'll count as many as I can that I see in front of me. Howard, it's like we're back in ancient Greece having deep discussions in the academy. I love this. Thank you. That is the intent. I'm definitely leaving tonight smarter from listening to these 3 men, without question. Then you throw in Mr. Stevie Ray into the equation, Giselle and Jamie. We're learning a ton tonight. Rita, it's great to hear the 3 perspectives of the question. I wouldn't have been able to delve into that subject and do it justice. Logic cannot always obtain or retain creativity. Love your comments, guys and gals and pals. Thank you again for doing what you're doing here and taking your time. Absolutely. Life be lifing. Quote of the night, according to Giselle. Life be lifing from DC Glenn. Jacques Rougeau, my logical vote is my own belief and uprising experience. Everyone has their own logic, and you must respect all of them. Thank you, Jacques. Appreciate that. Empathy is a very important quality, says John Ritchie. Absolutely. The same thing happened to me. I'm a stereotypical biker, very long hair, bushy beard, and covered in tattoos. I think that was during DC's analysis as it pertains to that particular topic as he unpacked it. Guys, thank you. Let's bring in Giselle, and let's see who she votes for and why. And you guys can start voting in the comment section right about now.
Hi. All right, DC Glenn. Loved the examples you brought up. Star Trek, as Stevie Ray said, was a great analogy. And then your real life examples played really well into your points that you were making. I thought that was a really good way for you to explain the topic as you saw it. Mr. Babcock, I like how you brought up that our knowledge changes over time. Therefore, our logic can change over time based on what we learn. And that it's hard to define logic, and it doesn't always reinforce the reality. So essentially your answer to that was a no. And it's kind of great that was a little bit different from the others. But for this topic, I am voting for Mr. London. I like that you broke the question down into 2 parts and discussed each of those different parts, each of those different questions, how they relate it to each other. And that the line that really stuck with me is that you can manifest your hopes and dreams, but you do that with action. So yes, you can have all the hopes and dreams in the world, and they won't accomplish. You won't get anywhere. Nothing will be accomplished if you don't take action.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people wonder why things haven't happened fast enough for them, and I think it's just about having some patience and continuing to go forward.
What they say, acting, do the work.
Do it, yeah. Yeah, they'll like say, you know, like going back to like it'll be Star Wars, but it's like don't say you're going to do it, right?
There is no try.
There is no try. There's no do it.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You look at a big old Star Wars. I would have, ooh, boy.
Man, the great Stanislavski said do. The first thing you have to do is do. You have to have patience, like Jason said. I've had a lot of patience for the New York Knicks, and once they started playing well, guess what happened? I missed out on it because I started doing this. How about that? How about that, Stevie? Come on. I mean, they finally started playing well. Oh, God almighty. And I missed it. I missed the Jalen Brunson doing his thing. Man, I wonder how Karl Anthony Towns is going to help them this year, Stevie. I really am.
Thank you,
Karl Anthony Towns, good addition there for the Knicks.
I think so.
A great addition to this panel is Jamie Sparling. So, Jamie, come on down. Let's see who you vote for and why. Good sir.
Hello, everyone. That was absolutely amazing. Mr. London, you peeled it back like an onion. I know that's probably overused a lot, but I really like how you talked about there were different layers to the question. Mr. Glenn, absolutely amazing. You gave me something to think about in concepts that I can use. I really like you brought it back, to experience. My vote has to go to Mr. Babcock on this one, though. He gave me the example of the flat Earth, and there is an author, Schopenhauer, I believe, that says there are 3 stages to truth: ridicule, opposition, and violently opposed. And if you take the Earth being flat and you go run it through that, yes, it would have been absolutely logical, and everybody knows it, right? It's like we're almost back to common sense. So my vote has to go to Mr. Babcock on this one.
StreamYard being StreamYard, guys. Thank you again. Appreciate that. Jamie Sparling cast his vote. Guys, it's real serious now because, again, 2 out of 3 will advance. 1 will be eliminated from this tournament, not from TKN. We're going to find out. I will ask DC Glenn, Pete Babcock, Jason London, hang around. I got a tribute video for you guys again, if you can. Hang out momentarily for about a minute. Got something for you guys before I bid you adieu. You want to laugh at my expense, Allison? The New York Knicks sound fun. Yeah, sure. Why not? Dump on me. Let's see who else we got, guys. Let's get our votes. Howard Collado votes for Jason. He kept it practical and loved his last metaphor. Chad going for DC Glenn. So 1 for DC, 1 for Jason London. Thank you very much. Again, more votes. Let's see who we have here as I scroll up. Radio Cohog, I don't want anyone to leave, but my vote goes to Pete Babcock this round for me. It was an amazing match. DC and Jason both touched my soul. Pete hit home for me. Okay. Yo, what, Joe? Vote. Wait for you to vote. What kind of comment is that? Yo. Let's see here. We got more votes. Rita voting for DC Glenn. Thank you, Rita, for joining us. Another vote for Mr. DC Glenn. Okay, guys and gals and pals. DC and Pete took this round for me. I'm still low-key crushing on Jason. Thank you, Lena. Appreciate that. Who are you voting for? You put in 2 names there. We want to know who you're voting for. Appreciate you, but vote for 1 if you can. Would appreciate that, guys. More votes. Okay. DJ Solo. Can all 3 pass? I wish, Jacques. I wish, Mr. Rougeau. I vote for Jason London, says Sasson 280. In a way, he found a balance between logic and reality. This is real close here, guys. This is real close here. Lena says DC took it. I guess that's a vote. Guys and gals, I'm going to count this down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Nathalie votes for DC, and so does John Ritchie. 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. With 20 votes. And moving on to round number 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament. DC Glenn will be in round number 3, guys, of the tournament with 15 votes. Pete Babcock will move on to round 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament. And guys and gals and pals, please give it up for Mr. Jason London, who's a friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. You're fast, guys.
Great human being.
Hey, these guys are amazing.
Totally appreciate you. Man, oh man, guys, listen, to know Jason is to really love the guy. And I got to tell you, my friend, thank you for taking everything on with gusto. You didn't bring it up, but I will. Under the weather, could have backed out, didn't back out, still here. That says a lot about you, and I really appreciate you, my friend.
I'm glad to be here, man.
Guys, please, if you can, take in something I have here for all three of these incredible human beings. I want to thank all of them for being here. Thank you, Mr. Jason London.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
This is for you, Jason.
Oh, that's my moment.
There she is. Yeah.
I love you, brother. Oh man, let's get that.
Jason, I want to say this to you, man. Yeah, honoring you means everything, man. I love you.
Love you too, brother. Cool, man.
You have a great
Can I say
night,
something?
man. Yeah,
Can I say something to Jason before he leaves?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Jason, I didn't know that you were in a remake of
Jason and the
Argonauts.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies as a child.
That was my favorite movie growing up, and I loved it.
Actually, me and my brother was doing an interview one day back when we were wrestling as a tag team. This is no lie. And I said this. I said, me and my brother was like, do they have any competition around here that can... I said, I feel like Jason. And my brother said, Jason who? I said, Jason and the Argonauts. They're going to have to start getting people from the grave to beat us.
Yeah, I loved the old Ray Harryhausen movie, and then whenever I got the offer to play it, I mean, it was a Hallmark sort of, sort of family-friendly kind of thing, but it was so much fun. I mean, I got to be in Turkey for months and ride dragons and fight.
Dennis Hopper. They're working with Dennis Hopper on screen.
And work with Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to go.
I didn't know that.
And Stevie also, Jason worked with Mr. Louis Gossett Jr. as well. A very big guy. Big guy.
A few times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Ed Asner. I know, dude, you were making me so sad looking at that because there were so many that have passed.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to have gotten to work with so many people. The wonderful Peter Boyle. That picture of me and Peter Boyle, that was the day of the last scene he ever did.
Wow.
And I got to be in that scene with him. I feel so incredibly honored to do that, because he wasn't doing very well then, and we kind of knew it.
Dude, take this.
What a trooper he was.
I was gonna say, take these roses, man. I'm glad you're in my life, and I really appreciate you, brother. And I can't wait for us to delve deep into From London is Burning, our very own show.
Right on, man.
Great. That's great.
Thank you guys so much. I'm huge fans, and you guys, man, you guys were amazing. I have no. I'm honored to have been beaten by you. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. It's great to spend time with you, Jason.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, my friend.
Bye.
The great Jason London, guys and gals and pals. Oh, man. God almighty, what a great human being. DC Glenn, I want to say this to you right now because StreamYard is StreamYarding with videos. But I want to bid you adieu. And before I do, I want to say, man, thank you for being so very open, because you were very open and very honest and such a pro to work with as well. Very direct, very studious, and also someone I'm glad people are getting to know here on this network. My friend, congrats to being in round number 3 of this celebrity tournament.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody on here. And, you know, I told you from the beginning, my mission is to help people, because I've been so blessed. And it's hard to help people who don't want to be helped. So you kind of have to meet them where they're at and come up with analogies that make them say, wait a minute, I never thought about it that way. And if I've done that, I've done my job.
Well, my friend, you're doing it every day. You did it with me, and thank you again for being who you are. DC, you can have a little fun right now for 10 seconds. Anything that you want to say about round number 3? What if it's DC Glenn and Stevie Ray in round number 3?
Hey, let's go.
His own like neck bones, baby.
Hey, I up your neck bones with a pot of oxtails. What's up?
Don't
go there.
Hey, DC and Stevie, I'm going to be in Atlanta over the winter.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get together.
Yeah,
most definitely, man. I gotta go. I'll be there at the beginning of next month shooting a comedy pilot.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe.
How long are you going to be there?
Probably 2 or 3 days.
Oh,
2 or 3 days at the most.
Hey,
it's
Pete,
not going to take but a couple of days to shoot it.
Do you appreciate your spleen?
What?
Do you appreciate your spleen? Your spleen. Do you appreciate having a spleen?
Who are you talking to?
Pete Babcock.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
You're gonna lose it when you hang out with Stevie, because he's gonna make you laugh all day, every day. You're gonna lose it, so appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I'll get with you when I come up there, man. I'll get with you. I call and DC. Are you still in Atlanta also?
Hey, give everybody my information.
I'm gonna give everyone your information.
Most definitely, man.
Yeah,
Steve, you give me Steve, I get a finder's fee or anything?
No, bro. No.
All right.
That's your job. That's your job.
All right. Okay. That's how it goes.
Bring people together.
Mr. DC Glenn, again, a man who also brings people together. Have a great night, my friend. I appreciate you.
Peace, everybody. Thank you.
DC Glenn in round 3. Pete, my friend, this can't be planned, but the DC Glenn video would not play. This video is going to play as a memory lane for the one and only Mr. Pete Babcock.
I gotta see this.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Where did you get those things?
That's what I do, my friend. God bless. Mr. Tom Chambers.
Yeah.
Irvin Johnson. Walter Davis.
Right.
Greyhound.
Bill Smith.
Jerry Sloan, the late Jerry Sloan. Wayne Embry, a legend.
Yeah.
Satch Sanders, a legend. Beautiful pick. Paul Silas, the late Paul Silas.
Yeah.
Beautiful family.
Yeah, thanks.
There they are, Bill Walton and Paul Silas. Sam Cassell.
My boy.
Yeah, Barry West. We lost him this year. Big Bill. Sweet man. Mr. Dikembe Mutombo. What he did to help others. That's what it's all about, guys. Family.
Yeah, one of my favorite people.
Yeah. Well, that was a qualifying round, guys. Round 1. Alan Henderson to the right.
Yeah, Donnie Boyce, Alan Henderson.
Sure. Late Jerry Krause. Stephen Tobolowsky, Rick Barry, Babcock, Raymond Barry. I get teary-eyed because people don't know about the friendships that we have behind the camera, and I just want to let you know that I'm happy you're in my life, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you, Avi. I feel the same way. That brought back a lot of memories, and lost a lot of great friends that are there just the last few years.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
No doubt about that.
Dikembe was at one picture where it was a young Native American Dikembe behind him, and then me.
Right.
That was taken in Montana. We went to a different reservation every September to work with kids.
Sure.
Players to go with me as volunteers, so nobody got paid to do this. Dikembe loved to do them every year. That year, he had a project in the Congo he was working on, raising money for his hospital on his mom's name. He flew from the Congo to Salt Lake City, met me in Salt Lake City, and we took a flight from there to Montana together. He flew all the way from the Congo to spend 2 days on the reservation working with kids. And that's just what he's like. I mean,
You told me that he once, when we were on the phone, he liked to obviously dress up. He was always with his suit and tie.
Yeah.
But, just getting on that plane, saying, you told him, hey, Dikembe, you don't have to. And he's like, no, I'm going to be there for you.
No, I told him, I said, you do it every year. We got guys doing it. You don't. And he said, no, I want to be there. And I mean, that's just a sacrifice he made. He was incredible.
Stevie knew the late Robert Reed and Moses Malone really well as well.
Yeah. Well, Moses was with me in Atlanta for a year.
Yeah.
Stevie, I pulled up to Moses' house one day, and here's this full-size Ford Bronco coming down the driveway, right? Very slowly. And I'm coming into the driveway. And it looks like the car is out of control. I can't see anybody. I can't see anybody at all. And all of a sudden the car stops and then it backs up. Well, Moses, this little boy, was in there driving it, right? So I go to the house and said, hey, Moses, hey, buddy, Mo, you know that little Mo's out there. I let him play with it in the driveway. I said, scared me to death. I thought the car was out of control just coming down the driveway.
God almighty, yeah, he was at a golf event when he passed.
Yeah,
right. I was communicating with him, and man, oh man, what a gentleman he was. He was there was a shyness about Moses Malone, for sure. Such a kind, and Stevie, of course, can attest to that, and of course his friendship with Robert Reed as well. Two great Houston Rockets. Robert was one of those few guys that transitioned into both of that in a 5-year span, both different regimes. He was part of the Moses Malone-led Rockets in '81 to make the finals, and '86 with the Twin Towers of Elijah and Simpson. And Stevie, as you remember, he retired in between.
Yeah, I had him on my podcast, and I asked him about that, and and I was like, I didn't know he was that religious.
Right.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I used to see him back in the days I worked in clubs, I was the guy that cleaned clubs up, and these guys came through back when I was a kid. And that's how I met a lot of these guys years ago. And man, I did not know that. I thought he just retired because he didn't feel like playing basketball anymore. He wanted to go study. You know, he went to St. Mary's, I think.
Sure.
So he was getting a doctorate in that.
Man, I know how close you were, my friend, with him. And guys and gals, again, I'm glad that Stevie and Pete can get together and hopefully become close. You can't meet two greater human beings. Met Stevie, broke bread with him, of course, and Mr. Pete Babcock. You are such an inspiration in my life. Can't wait to shake your hand. And congrats on being in round number 3. Good, sir.
Thank you very much. Just don't put me against Stevie.
Oh, no, I don't want to go against Stevie. I don't want to go against Pete either. I don't want to go against Pete.
My friend, you have a great rest of the weekend.
All right. Thanks. Good to see everybody.
Great show, man. Appreciate meeting everybody. Jamie, Giselle, hey, man. Great meeting you guys.
You too. It was a pleasure.
Anything I'm going to say to Stevie, something one-on-one, but before I do, anything you guys want to ask Stevie? Anything you want to ask Stevie, go ahead. Stevie Ray, guys and gals, is here to stay. We're going to bid him adieu momentarily, but Jamie and Giselle, the floor is yours.
Oh, goodness, a question. Go, Jamie.
Name of your podcast, sir.
Straight Shooting with Stevie Ray.
Thank you, sir.
Stevie Ray TV on YouTube.
All right.
I'm on that, Jamie. I'm on that.
That was my one question. I'm sorry. I'm jumping. I don't know. Sorry.
Jamie's got that great banner too. I love that.
It's not a professional wrestling podcast though, like most professional wrestlers or ex-athletes do. It's not. It's a podcast about whatever.
Yeah.
Like you really
whoever. Like if I had you on, you and I would sit down and chop it up. I don't like to get into your usual stuff that I'm regurgitating what you've heard 50,000 times.
Yeah.
No, I want to talk to you like I know you. You know me, and we can chop it up and people enjoy it.
Yeah.
I bet it's great.
Well said.
Huh?
I said I bet it's great, Stevie, because you're just really good with people. So I just bet it. I bet it's just great.
You got to care about people.
Like if I met you in a bar, I don't want to sit here with pen and paper go, no, in 1992. Yeah, and how did you feel after you did this? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that.
Steve and I always talk about this. No knock on anyone, but to be able to do this, you got to care about people and know how to speak to people. And Stevie's life experiences and his journey prior to pro wrestling prepared him for any kind of Shark Tank that he had to encounter in many locker rooms, of course. So, again, his show delves deeply into all things humanity. It's a lot of fun as well. Giselle, anything you'd like to ask or address Stevie Ray right here?
Oh, goodness. I love what your podcast is about. It fits in very well with what we're doing here at TKN as well.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's what brought me and Avi together.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. Yeah. You have very similar thought processes in regards to people and really getting to know everyone on a more personal level and getting to the bottom of
Giselle, I call Stevie my big brother of choice because we choose sometimes in life who we look up to. And it's easy to look up to Stevie because he's 6'7", but beyond that, his mind.
I'm not 6'7".
His mind is a giant as well. Giselle, we'll put you and Jamie backstage momentarily. Thank you. My friend, listen, man. Number one question is, did you have a good time?
Yeah, man, I did, man. It was great, man. The one question with the cabinet.
Oh, yes.
The one question with the cabinet and all the different people that you had, that was a very interesting question.
Thank you, my friend.
And that one made me think, who would I have? Well, I'm just getting it right now in front of me.
Sure.
I had time to really think about it. And when you put Albert Einstein in there and some of the other people, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, man, because, the other question too, the question about logic,
Sure.
And those are very thought-provoking questions.
Thank you.
And you would have to really have a little insight on politics to answer that political question with any kind of authority. You would have to.
Sure.
Because if you just know what you know right now and what we're seeing today or in the last 20 years or so, you wouldn't be able to really relate to that question. I don't think. That's one man's opinion.
No, I would agree with you. And you know, when you're bringing this up, I get goosebumps because I'm going back to the days where you and I were doing this, and the fact that we're going to be doing it now in 2024 again.
Right.
It's a learning experience for me. It never gets old to learn, and I never stop learning from you. And I want our audience here, again, guys, the compliments you're throwing Mr. Stevie Ray, I want him to see this as well. Stevie is very real. He's multifaceted and intelligent. I'd love to see a podcast, and you will, because I want to be plugging this every day, as you guys know. There is so much here about Stevie Ray, guys and gals, that we're going to unpack on TKN. We'll be collaborating together as well. And, of course, he's in the tournament. You know, we talked about Samson and Olajuwon, the Twin Towers. We might be talking about Twin Towers, but it might be different than Samson and Olajuwon when Stevie's here on screen. That's all I'm going to say, because there's no topic too big or too real for Stevie to tackle.
I got something else that you don't know about yet.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, hint?
You don't know.
No hint?
No hint.
Oh.
I can't talk about you with it on the air.
Oh, my gosh. That means
you're going to love it.
Okay, we're going to have a conversation off air about
this. Brother, I got things in the works, man.
Stevie, well, last time you saw me, I wasn't wearing these duds. What do you think of the duds, Stevie?
I love them. I love it.
You know how it is, man. Young New Yorkers. Stevie would make sure that some of the best wrestlers in WCW knew how to dress. He was the guy responsible for making sure that a Perry Saturn or Dean Malenko knew how to dress. Give him a lot of credit for that, man.
But nobody gave me credit, Avi.
That spot in Maryland is where you took him, I think.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody gave. I hooked him up.
You did.
You ever heard the term hook a brother up?
Absolutely.
I hooked some brothers up.
You hooked them up. And
plural.
All of them. The entire lot.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I sit them down like little children and showed them this is how you.
If they wanted to hang out with Stevie Ray in some of those exclusive clubs, you got to dress the part.
I'm tired of looking at them, dog. Come on, bro. Keep coming here with me looking like that. Come on.
There's no doubt.
I love them to death, though. I love them to death.
They do, and they love you back, man. You got so much respect from everybody in the locker room, out of the locker room, and from me. And I'm going to say this on air before I bid you adieu again. More roses because it's from the heart. I love you, man. I'm glad you're a big part of my life.
We got to talk, brother. Holla at your boy.
Absolutely. Very soon.
All right.
Guys, Stevie Ray, how about this? A little solo layout, guys. Anything you want to address to the fans about your podcast, what's coming down the pike, and if you can also, maybe a message to anyone in round number 3 that might have to face Stevie Ray if he moves on to round number 3.
Well, brother, since I've gotten a glimpse of what's really going down, I can't wait. That's all I can say. I can't wait. Hook a brother up. Somebody just said. I can't wait, brother. It's going to be great.
You will. And guys, Straight Shooting with Stevie Ray, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, a lot of places, destinations. I'm going to plug it. Thank you for joining us tonight, my friend.
No problem, brother. I had a great time. And
Likewise.
You're doing it, man.
Thank you.
You know, you're doing it, brother. You're doing something like you and I have always talked about, outside the box. Thinking outside the box. And on top of that, entertaining people at the same time. And on top of that, educating people at the same time. And with all that rolled into one, Avi, you can't lose, bro.
Means a lot to me.
You can't lose.
I can't lose because you're in my
the
life.
Participants love it.
Thank
the audience loves it. And you're getting something that you can't get anywhere else.
Means a lot to me, my friend. And again,
that's real. That's real talk, bro.
It's real talk, and you're a huge part of it. So thank you.
Yo, no problem, bro.
My friend, you have a great night. We'll talk very
soon. You too, brother. We'll holla.
You got it.
Peace, man.
Peace. Mr. Stevie Ray, guys and gals. I'm going to take a swig of water and bring in Giselle, Jamie, and Howard. I think that tonight set the bar real, real high. And I'm going to ask Giselle, Jamie, and Howard how they feel about that statement I just made about the bar being set real high. And then they'll give us the whys, guys and gals, if they can.
Oh, man.
Ooh. No doubt. The bar is definitely, it was set high last week. Okay? Last week, and I almost feel silly saying it, but last week was the best one. And I knew this was going to be better.
Sure.
But it actually was. And how much time would it take somebody to put together, well, any of these topics, but the first one, there was so much research with the historical figures and all the different areas that you would put them there in politics. that really opened my eyes, quite a bit. What did you think of it, Giselle?
So for that first topic, first of all, you need to know what each cabinet department does. What are their jobs? What are their tasks? What are their responsibilities? What do they oversee? Then you need to know about all of those figures that were up for those positions. What qualities do they have, or what accomplishments do they have that best fit within those departments? That one would, gosh, with unlimited time, I think that topic would take me at least a month. So not only did they all come in here with these well-defined, well-thought-of out answers, not only gave us the who's, but the why's, very important. We wouldn't have even had this conversation. I think Avi outdid himself with this topic tonight because this is one of my favorites, for sure.
That's what I like about.
Yeah, the depths they can go to, because you can go to so many different places.
Yeah,
with
but give
it.
yourselves credit though, because you guys are the reason why I come up with these topics, because I know that you have minds that go very deep and like to explore. And that goes for the Green Roomers. That goes for people who are not here now, like a Joe Rositano, a Kelly White. Shout out to them. A Chad Dixon, a Brian Burr, or Ramon, who we saw last week as well. Of course, Howard and Jamie and Giselle, and Megan, all the luminaries we have here. To know that I'm writing for people that have such great intellect and class and respect for the topics, respecting the topics to give it their all is why I do it, because you guys, again, take it to another level. We make each other better. And that's really what Ensemble is. The great Bill Russell said that he could have probably scored 30 points a game if he wanted to, but he didn't need to. He'd rather rebound the ball and give it to the other players that were better ball handlers, better shooters. They could drive to the hole and obviously hit layups and be more efficient than he was. He didn't have to do that. But there were a lot of players that played in his era, and more so maybe today, that wanted the ball in their hands all the time. And part of what makes a team is to know what strength you have and how it could help the team succeed. How can you help the team? And that's what we have here. It's something you can't explain until you witness it. You really can't. And that's what I love about us as TKN. You're going to hear sound bites, and you're definitely going to have some quotes. And of course, we're going to talk about things like edutainment, how we're philosophically fun. We do conversation, not controversy. But really, when it boils down to that, the big neon lights that you could see on a billboard as it pertains to TKN is that this is family. This is a group of people that care about each other. And, sometimes people say love and hate are distant neighbors, and we might confuse the two sometimes, but either way, what you can have here is passion. You cannot say that in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, regardless of the cast and who is passion. There was always passion here. And that's what I love. I love living. There's a lot of life here. And I guarantee you that as long as I'm here, there's always going to be positivity. There's always going to be the respect for your fellow man and woman here, because that's what TKN is all about. And Chad, Myron, Julio, listen, guys, we're going to play the outro in a moment at 2 hours and 58 minutes. But I also want to say this. Howard, you're on screen right now. There are a lot of moments that I just described that epitomize you here, because what speaks to me may not speak to somebody else. That doesn't make me right. It just makes me different. I love consistency. Sometimes consistency done right, but that's a different story. We'll talk about that off air. But when it comes to consistency, it speaks to me because someone doesn't have to describe their passion verbally to me, but their consistency does. And I want to let you know, I don't know, I'm not speaking for Jamie or Giselle, maybe I am. You're one of the most consistent people I know.
Absolutely. Yes.
You love the Green Room, and you love TKN so much. And I think we can attest to that. And you love it because you don't give up on life. You don't give up on any moment that might be able to derail you one moment to the next. You kind of hang in there. You do explore. You do listen. I love you. You drive me crazy, but I love you.
I love you too, brother. And I tell you this, and I've told you this many times. I think what you're able to do a lot of times, and you did it tonight with these amazing luminaries that were here tonight is you're able to sometimes see something in someone that they don't see yet. It's fermenting, it's formulating, it's growing, and sometimes there might be even fear of allowing that to kind of flourish out, and you're able to see it and help someone nurture that within themselves.
Well,
and
again, sharing this journey with you has been a real joy, really joy. John says, Glowaniac, for a year and a half I was absent. John, we missed you. John Glowaniac is a very smart man. I like John. John cares about family. John is a very, very awesome, down-to-earth person. For a year and a half, I was absent. A lot going on in my life at the time that made things difficult to find time for a lot of things. But I know now that I've been missing intelligent conversation. And we've been missing you, John, so thank you. Appreciate that you're back. Absolutely, says DJ Solo. Howard doesn't get enough credit for what he does for TKN. I'll give him all the flowers I can give him. Guys, sure, post about Howard. We want to give him as much credit as he absolutely deserves. John, I've been missing intellectual conversations between wonderful people, present company included. Thank you. That's beautiful, man. And you are incredible. We'll get you on air. I can't wait to have a conversation with you, John, because you are everything that you just described in people as well. They should be proud of how much they gave. Jason was amazing tonight. Guys, Jason is a genius, but he's a thoughtful, kind genius who's selfless, very selfless. Howard's a super person, totally concur. And guys, I'm going to say this again. Jamie, Jamie never left TKN. He's here now on screen a lot with us because Saturday nights are just much more complete with him on screen for me. I love having my brother here on screen. You're looking at the bottom panel. You guys know what you're looking at? You're looking at two people that were part of a very awesome college experience together, sharing the stage, doing Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare, getting to know each other, but even more so now in this experience, 20-some-odd years later. The reason I called up Jamie, he wasn't my best friend in college. He was a friend, not a best friend, but his performances were so honest that I remember them 20 years later. They touched me. And then to get to know the person and befriend him as well and appreciate the artist, it was a win-win situation for me. That's what we're getting from Mr. Jamie Sparling, guys and gals. Two individuals, and Howard, of course, when it comes to recovery. That's going to be a segment here on the Green Room. He'll delve deeply into all things recovery. I know it speaks to Jamie as well. It speaks to me. Giselle. Speaking of Giselle, guys and gals, I got to say this. To know her is to love her. Trust me. She is someone that when she appears on screen, gives it her all, knows no quit, and has so many talents and is able to cultivate that through sheer desire. She's been doing this craft of storytelling her whole life. It's not some passing fancy or hobby. She loves what she do, and she sees the good in people first, which is rare because sometimes you'll encounter people that don't see the good in you first. She sees the good in people first. She leads with respect. It's a really cool thing, and I respect her for that greatly. Guys, more videos, but we're not going to air them now with the exception of the outro because you're going to find out now in real time. Giselle, Jamie, and Howard are going to react as they start seeing this countdown, this top 10 countdown that you guys provide us. Who do you think are the top 10 contenders in round number 2? And at the end of the video, you're going to find out what next week's matchup is all about. Who's going to be stepping down to round number 2 to this virtual arena? What will the topics be? Who's going to advance? How many people are going to be in this match? Who's going to be in this match? We're going to find out right now, guys and gals, at the end of the outro. And we're going to get some good reactions from Giselle, Howard, and Jamie. I might give them a solo layout as well. Guys, please enjoy this. Chad, I'm going to see you very soon on the Black Box, guys. Joe Resart's page, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to get Chad on the Green Room next week as well. We're going to get hopefully Ramon and Brian and everybody else here. Trust me, Phil. But right now at the 3-hour mark, I want you guys to enjoy. And please give it up for Jason London. Please give it up for DC Glenn and Pete Babcock, who moved on to round number 3, and Stevie Ray, who, by the way, is making his presence felt already. And Mr. Stevie Ray is going to be a force in this tournament. Wait till you find out who Stevie Ray has for the 11th hour matchup that he has. Oh, my gosh. And the topic, guys and gals, a mighty large topic to tackle. Believe me when I tell you, and a very important one to tackle as well. Guys, I've said enough. I am going to zip the old lip right now. And I'm going to cue up this outro. And at the end of the outro, guys and gals and pals, you're going to find out essentially who's going to be facing who next week, next Saturday night live. Enjoy this outro when I can find it, that is. We're live here, guys. We're live. Jamie, why can't I find the outro? There we go. Guys, this is the outro. That's Jamie. That's Giselle. That's Howard. I'm Avi Klein. I'm out.
Obsession's gonna be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
I'd call my best friend. I say, tell those 4 or 5 people I love them. I tell her I love her. I was told that happens a lot with a brain injury. They don't remember that day, but
he would renowned for just tearing stuff up with it. So the original album cover is a hand holding a red hammer with blood all over it, and they renamed the album Kill 'Em All.
I would sing that song to myself to give me courage to face the Dean of Boys, who of course was threatening to throw me out.
On the internet, they took a photo of him with Spider-Man and put my head on top of it.
See the Mummy, see Frankenstein's monster, see the Wolfman, see all of them in one movie.
We knew we were doing something really good and really special, but we had no idea that it would be as well received.
Yeah. Present and be in the moment, because it just keeps going. And a little scary the older I get how much faster it's all going. But
over the next month. I'm Nancy Kerrigan. See you at the Super Bowl.
We're all humans, and we're all beautiful, and we all are going through so much.
And for me, I'd say John was the best rival, opponent, partner you could ever ask for. One of the best to ever do it in the ring.
And I had a unique situation because of wrestling. I also played baseball in high school, and it was probably my best sport.
Well, at the current time, that was the biggest wrestling crowd that I had ever performed in front of, and I thought it was awesome.
Hit that home run. It's 4-2 in the bottom of the ninth. Willie Mays is on deck. Jackie Robinson is in center field.
Hey, what, too soon? What? Wow. Oh, boo. Boo, I'm a heel. I hate when you boo me.
It raises the question that causes you to, and your curiosity, to go back and look at the movie again.
I finally read it, yes. I didn't read it, I'll confess, until I was asked to do the role. But then I felt it was absolutely essential in terms of research.
You know, a lot of people fear the truth because it exposes our weaknesses.
Yes.
And I'm comfortable that I have weaknesses. It was actually a blessing in disguise because that was the same time that organized sports got introduced to me.
To be honest, martial art is technology. Everything is technology. It's sharing of information.
He'll go in, he'll get hired by a national
federation from whatever country it is, and he will make these skaters better.
The aid fund, so we help families in that position, whether they need travel or room and board. Sometimes we get, daily and weekly requests to pay their power bills.
Works had the women's basketball, the women's baseball, the women's field hockey, the women's lacrosse on, it would be as popular.
Go out and get those facts and do what I was doing. Today, that's not what I do, and I'm sensitive to people who don't want to answer a question.
So I played an American hero on TV, but the men and women in the armed forces, they're the real American heroes.
All the top WWF stars would go to Japan, but on the way back they would stop in Hawaii and work for Peter Maivia.
When he dropped the coffee cut, I'm like, Keaton is Kaiser Sosa.
First of all, he was definitely a workhorse. You know what I mean? Pac loved the studio. He loved what he done.
It's the guy who's willing to die.
Here we
who's
go.
gonna win that itch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, you gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy
who's coming on down.
You know what? Maybe one of the world's problems will get solved by listening to this show.
I'm gonna win this whole thing. Watch.
I know you are, Tom. I know you are.
Woo!